Chapter 124 Lifespan of 2 million years. Inside the inn, Guan and Wuju finally found a seat. After sitting down, they continued to discuss the intense battle they had just witnessed. Though it was brief, it was enough to make all the spectators' blood boil with excitement. Guan smiled in agreement, feeling a slight tinge of regret. Killing Daoist Tianjian would only grant 10 years of lifespan, because Daoist Tianjian had less than 200 years left to live when he chose to take his own life. Daoist Tianjian probably reached the mystic heart realm long ago, but 700 years ago, he likely realized there was no hope for his cultivation to increase further, so he secluded himself in the deep mountains. Unfortunately, after sitting for 700 years, he still couldn't find the path. This time, Daoist Tianjian came seeking death. Guan didn't dwell on it. His attention was soon drawn to Anhao on the heavenly repair platform. Anhao was actually achieving path enlightenment. The inner sect elders surrounded him, protecting him. Good lad. Guan felt comforted. The stronger Anhao became, the happier he was. Anhao was his true disciple. Unlike the disciples of Medicine Valley, the more powerful Anhao became, the more pride Guan felt. With so many great cultivators protecting him, Guan was relieved. He withdrew his thoughts and focused on drinking and laughing with Wuju. Before long, a figure approached and sat beside Guan. She nonchalantly handed him a drawing. "What do you think? How is the drawing?" Shenzhen asked with a smile. Guan took a careful look. In the painting, Daoist Tianjian stood with arms spread wide, enduring the sword light descending from the sky. The dark and fierce style of the painting gave a sense of tragic beauty. "Not bad as expected from you," Guan praised casually. Shenzhen pouted, sensing his perfunctory tone. Wuju hesitated and asked, "Brother Gu, who is this?" Although Shenzhen wore a veil, her attire and features indicated she must be a beauty and of high status. Guan smiled and said, "This lady is named Shenzhen. Like me, you can address her as Miss Shen." He then introduced Wuju to Shenzhen. Seeing Shenzhen's indifferent attitude, Guan reminded her, "My brother here is no ordinary person. He will someday make a name for himself in the Supreme Sect." "Don't talk nonsense," Wuju interrupted hastily, his face turning red. "Really?" Shenzhen couldn't help but reassess Wuju, making him even more uncomfortable. Guan laughed. "Come, let's drink and chat." In his view, Wuju was destined to showcase his talents, and Shenzhen, being a holy daughter of a major sect, would eventually cross paths with him. Meeting earlier would help them look after each other in the future. Shenzhen also started talking about the earlier battle, eagerly leading the conversation while Guan continued to play the role of the agreeing listener, and Wuju became increasingly ill at ease, managing only to smile politely. After 30 minutes, Shenzhen stood up to leave, intending to paint more scenes of the earlier battle. After she left, Wuju finally breathed a sigh of relief. Guan teased him. "Why are you so nervous? Don't tell me you've taken a liking to her?" "Nonsense, that lady clearly has her heart set on you. As your brother, how could I have improper thoughts? I just don't know how to talk to women. You know well, you're my only friend." Wuju glared at him, quite serious. "Here we go again. You're my only friend." Guan shook his head and laughed. Having one more friend means having one more path. Walking alone in the immortal cultivation world is tiring. "I know, it's just that I'm not good at making friends." "Then what about us?" "We hit it off right away. It wasn't about making friends, it was destiny." "Hey you brat, you sure know how to talk to me." Guan laughed heartily. With him, Wuju was confident and not the least bit nervous. They talked until dusk before parting ways. Guan then went back to Mystic Valley to see his disciples. He noticed Chu Jingfeng sitting silently on the mountaintop, and decided not to disturb him. If Chu Jingfeng could achieve path enlightenment, it would be a good thing. However, path enlightenment wasn't easy. Anhao and Wuju were once in Millennium talents, not everyone could compare to them. After spending an hour in Mystic Valley, Guan visited the Third Medicine Valley. The Third Medicine Valley was much livelier than Mystic Valley, as it had 10 times the number of disciples. Guan chatted with the disciples for a while before returning to his loft, preparing to read and soothe his mind. Deep into the night, footsteps could be heard outside the door. Soon a voice came in, Valley Master, I have something to discuss with you. Lu Lingjun. She even used the sound transmission skill. Guan put down the supreme secret records in his hands, placing the investiture of the gods over it. He spoke, "Come in." Lu Lingjun pushed open the door and after closing it, cast a restriction on the door. Guan was astonished, looking at Lu Lingjun in surprise. Lu Lingjun turned around, walked to the table, raised her hand in salute to Guan, and said, "Valley Master, I deeply apologize for hiding something from you before." "Your cultivation level?" Guan asked nervously. Lu Lingjun said, "Truthfully, I'm at the Void Crossing Realm." Void Crossing Realm. Guan stood up abruptly. Lu Lingjun quickly said, "Valley Master, I mean no harm. Listen to me first." Upon hearing this, Guan's expression changed several times before he slowly sat down. Seeing Guan sit down, Lu Lingjun smiled and said, "I hid my cultivation level because I don't know much about the Taicang dynasty. I come from a very far place. While exploring a great power's cave, I encountered a mysterious formation and got transported here. Unable to find my way back, I decided to settle in the Supreme Sect. I hope the Valley Master could help introduce me." Guan asked in surprise, "With your cultivation level, you can openly join the Supreme Sect. Why need my introduction?" "The Supreme Sect has strict rules. With my cultivation level, I can only become a guest elder, which means years of waiting. I noticed the Valley Master has connections. With your help, I could avoid decades of struggle," Lu Lingjun said seriously. As she spoke, she took out 3 bottles from her sleeve and said, "These are heavenly spirit water as a token of gratitude. I hope the Valley Master likes them." Seeing this, Guan's expression turned stern. "This is nonsense. If you do this, it will seem as if I only helped you because of your gift. What would people think of me?" He gathered the 3 bottles in front of him. Lu Lingjun laughed and said, "How could that be? These heavenly spirit waters are only to thank the Valley Master for your care during this time." "I see. You've been thoughtful." Guan smiled with satisfaction, and then motioned Lu Lingjun to sit down. He began to explain some matters to her, mainly about the structure of the Supreme Sect, pointing out the importance of family influence to avoid making enemies. Initially, Lu Lingjun didn't take it seriously, but as she listened, she realized Guan was genuinely considering her situation, and she became earnest. Autumn passed and winter came, covering the 3rd Medicine Valley in snow. On this day, LV Batian came to visit Guan. Seeing his figure, Lu Lingjun knew her opportunity had arrived. Guan didn't disappoint her. Half an hour later, Guan and LV Batian came downstairs, and Guan waved to Lu Lingjun from afar. She quickly approached them, and LV Batian sized her up and said, "Guan has told me everything. Follow me to get your disciple token replaced." Lu Lingjun immediately thanked LV Batian and bowed to Guan. Guan smiled and nodded, then watched them fly away. Xiaochuan came over astonished and asked, "Why did Lu Lingjun leave? Didn't you notice she flew very fast?" Guan asked, then turned to leave. Xiaochuan was puzzled and followed him asking, "What do you mean? Wasn't it that elder who flew her away?" Xiaochuan. "Yes, senior brother. Sometimes having a big heart is a good thing. Keep it that way." "Huh." Guan ignored Xiaochuan and walked towards the Heavenly Spirit Pond. Watching the carp in the pond had become one of his pleasures. Earlier, LV Batian had sought him to discuss the Golden List Conference and the world's first sword society. Not wanting to exhaust himself with future military strategies, he hadn't offered many opinions, so LV Batian hadn't stayed long. The coming days should be peaceful for many years, Guan thought to himself. In the cold winter, the news of Sword Venerable Fudao killing Taoist Tianjian with a single strike began to spread across the 9 dynasties, and the Supreme Sect used this momentum to negotiate with other dynasties to expand their influence. Though the process was difficult, the Supreme Sect's high-ranking officials didn't feel tired. From top to bottom, everyone felt a surge of energy, knowing that the Supreme Sect was on the rise. With the strongest cultivator in the world backing them, how could the Supreme Sect not dominate the 9 dynasties? Years flew by. 5 years passed swiftly, and 67-year-old Guan walked out from the Elixir Hall. He paused at the entrance, looking back inside gently. Zhu Qinglu was no longer there, having retired. Though the new elder was very respectful to him, Guan still felt somewhat uncomfortable. Old friends were gone, and new people had arrived. Guan turned back and blended into the bustling street. In 5 years, the supreme sect had risen, evident from the increasing number of disciples in the outer gate city. The Golden List Conference had become famous worldwide, and in 5 years, it would be held at the supreme sect. It was said that the supreme sect invited 100 clans from the 9 dynasties to lead the event, which would attract more and more geniuses to participate in the future. Guan suspected that the Ji family and the Gu family had contributed significantly, but of course, other families also wanted to invest in the supreme sect. Having more paths to tread was always beneficial. As Guan walked through the streets, he could hear the discussions of disciples passing by. Many famous talents' names filled his ears, with An Hao being mentioned the most frequently. Last year, An Hao went down the mountain to gain experience and developed a grudge with the demon path. Using his core formation realm cultivation, he killed a nascent soul realm great cultivator, making a name for himself in the immortal cultivation world. The title of the Supreme Sect's top genius was firmly placed on An Hao's head, with no one able to challenge it. As for LV Xian, although he was the champion of the 100 Clans Conference, those clans were high above the world, and didn't engage directly with the immortal cultivation world. In the past 5 years, Gu An's days had been very calm, but his lifespan had increased by over 700,000 years, surpassing 2 million years. The goal of 10 million years no longer seemed so distant, leaving him motivated and never feeling tired or bored. "Brother Gu, long time no see." A voice came from around the corner of the street. Guan turned to see the Jueshan sect's genius Zhou Tongyu approaching. Behind Zhou Tongyu was an elder who was plump, holding a feather fan, looking quite endearing. Before Zhou Tongyu reached Guan, Lu Lingjun appeared out of thin air in front of him. Years ago, after she followed LV Baitian, Lu Lingjun returned the next day. She was now an inner sect elder, but her task was to protect Guan. This had frustrated her for a long time. If not for fearing sword Venerable Fudao, she would have long ago unsheathed her sword against LV Baitian. Chapter 125. Golden List's Note. Ghost in the Night. The person behind him is not simple. Lu Lingjun used the sound transmission skill to remind Guan, her gaze bypassing Zhou Tongyu to look at the fat elder behind him. Guan had already seen the opponent's cultivation level, but still cast a lifespan detection. Zhou Li, Unification Realm, 7th layer 1478/3000/3100 surname Zhou again. Guan was curious. When Zhou Tongyu came last time, there was no great cultivator following him. Zhou Tongyu looked at Lu Lingjun and smiled. "Brother Gu, it's been many years, and you have experts protecting you. It seems you have done quite well these years." Guan smiled and asked, "I wonder if Brother Zhou is here to participate in the Golden List tournament this time?" "Indeed, this time I aim to take the top spot and become famous. What do you say, a spar at your medicine valley?" Zhou Tongyu asked with burning eyes. Although it had been many years, Gu An's cultivation level was still mediocre, but he felt Guan had his strengths. Guan shook his head and said, "Forget it, I won't ask for trouble now. Supreme Sect is full of geniuses these days, you should find someone else." "Haha, I came early to visit after hearing of An Hao's fame. Since you are unwilling, I will go find An Hao now," Zhou Tongyu said laughingly. After speaking, he turned and left. Zhou Li, in the Unification Realm 7th layer, smiled and nodded at Lu Lingjun, then followed Zhou Tongyu. After they had walked away, Lu Lingjun turned around and asked, "A nascent soul realm cultivator wants to spar with you?" Zhou Tongyu had already achieved the nascent soul realm, and did not conceal his aura at all. At that time, he suppressed his cultivation level to spar with me, and I slightly had the upper hand, Guan said, pretending to be proud. Lu Lingjun chuckled and said, "I didn't think you had this skill. Indeed, appearances can be deceiving." After 5 years together, they were already familiar, lacking formalities. Of course, she still had grievances regarding LV Baitian's arrangements, so her attitude towards Guan was not as respectful as before. "What are you saying, am I not handsome?" A bit handsome, good enough to be a cauldron for a female demon. Cough cough, you are a female cultivator, please mind your words. Guan gave Lu Lingjun a sidelong glance and then walked forward. Since Lu Lingjun was sent back, her temperament had changed, and Guan felt awkward. Knowing he was at fault, he could only compromise. Blame LV Baitian. What kind of arrangement was this? Guan didn't need Lu Lingjun's protection. Fortunately, Lu Lingjun was also slack. The reason she came to the outer sect today was for her matter, and she just accompanied him. Lu Lingjun looked at Guan's back, snorted, and then walked in another direction. Guan prepared to visit Wuju. He found that there were many great cultivators in the city, most of them hiding their cultivation level. It seemed that the Golden List tournament would cause trouble. If the Supreme Sect succeeded, it would be easier to host such tournaments in the future, and other sects would not sit idly by. Guan was not worried at all. Besides Xian Quan, another Supreme Elder had recently returned to the Supreme Sect, whose cultivation was slightly weaker than Xian Quan but still in the Mystic Heart Realm. With 2 Mystic Heart Realm Elders guarding, it would not be easy for other sects to shake Supreme Sect. In 30 minutes, Guan arrived at Wuju's courtyard. Wuju was practicing punches in the yard, without mobilizing spiritual power, only practicing moves. Bare-chested, he looked very strong, and each punch could shake the space. Wuju, Foundation Establishment Realm, 9th layer 69/350/3500. His maximum lifespan had increased again. Guan noticed that whenever he did not check on Wuju for more than 2 months, Wuju would gain enlightenment. In 1 year, he visited every month, but Wuju could not gain enlightenment. After enlightenment, Wuju emitted a solitary, lonely aura. This made Guan have odd thoughts. Could it be that as long as Wuju is neglected, he will gain enlightenment? He decided not to check on him for the next year, and see how far Wuju could gain enlightenment. Guan hoped that Wuju would catch up with Anhao. This way, Anhao would have more rivals and not become overly arrogant. Smooth sailing was not always good. Seeing Guan, Wuju glanced at him without making a sound. Look what good thing I brought you. Guan's voice came. Upon hearing, Wuju reluctantly walked towards Guan and asked, "What good thing?" Guan took out an invitation from his storage bag, with golden edges and a red background, engraved with 4 large characters. Golden List Tournament. How do you have this? Wuju asked in surprise. The Golden List Tournament was not for everyone. Participants needed certain fame, and had to pay 10 top-grade spirit stones for an invitation. The rewards for the Golden List Tournament were also very rich. The top 100 winners all received prizes, with higher ranks yielding better rewards. Wuju had naturally heard of it and envied those talents. Guan smiled proudly and said, "I put in a lot of effort. But with my cultivation level, it's useless to participate." Wuju shook his head. Guan comforted him. "Don't worry. The Golden List Tournament compares talent, not cultivation level. As long as your strength in the same realm is strong enough, you can stand out." Really? Really? Since he set the rules, how could it not be true? Guan thought to himself. Wuju lacked resources. Staying hidden was not a solution. In reality, Wuju wanted to stand out but was too shy to ask for help. Wuju accepted the invitation, hugged Guan, patted him heavily on the back, and then grabbed his shoulders saying, "Brother, I won't talk much but I promise not to disgrace you." Having gained enlightenment several times, Wuju could feel his changes, developing confidence that was slowly altering his personality. Confidence of a strong person. Guan smiled and said, "There are still 5 years. You must focus on cultivation. I won't see you again for the next 5 years." Wuju was startled. "Why? What will keep you busy for 5 years?" "It's a sect matter, not convenient to discuss." Guan shook his head. Could it be because of this invitation? Wuju suddenly felt the Golden List Tournament invitation in his hand was heavy. He hesitated. Guan reminded, "Besides the Sunset Fist, don't forget to practice the Gale Shadowless leg. It will make you faster." Wuju nodded heavily. This time at the Golden List Tournament, he swore to make a name for himself. At the end of summer, in Mystic Valley, Guan lay under a tree, one hand under his head, the other holding a book, reading with relish. A figure came before him, looking down at him. It was Leia. Leia still carried a heavy sword, wore a fitted black outfit, his long hair tied behind his head with a blue ribbon, revealing a determined and handsome face. Cough cough, junior brother Gu. Leia feigned a cough. Supreme Secret Records. He didn't expect junior brother Gu to read it too. Also, with the same name, he must feel immersed. Leia thought silently. Guan quickly stood up, putting the Supreme Secret Records into his bosom. He already sensed Li Ya's presence, but since Leia practiced an energy-concealing sorcery, he pretended not to know. Senior brother Li, why are you here? Guan asked, pretending to be pleasantly surprised. Leia replied, I've been back for several years, planning to go to Tsangzhou, then return to participate in the Golden List tournament. Guan sighed. So busy, senior brother Li, you must be very powerful now. Leia raised his chin, full of spirit. Not very powerful, but getting the top 10 at the Golden List tournament is not difficult. Deserving of senior brother Li, the pride of our Mystic Valley. Indeed. Haven't you been injured over the years? Of course not, since I parted ways with you. I haven't bled. Your senior is not the same as before, Leia said seriously. Such a show-off. Guan wished Leia would call him Grand Ancestor. Leia took out 2 items from his storage bag, an invitation and a long wooden box. This is an invitation to the Golden List tournament. You should participate. This box contains 10,000 year wood spirit ginseng. With 5 years to digest it, your spiritual power can change dramatically, helping you achieve a good ranking, Leia explained. Guan was stunned. Leia directly put them in his arms, saying, Don't refuse or I'll be angry. After saying that, he let go, and Guan quickly caught them. Leia turned to leave. Leaving already? Guan quickly asked. Leia waved his hand. Cultivating the path of immortality, no time for chit-chat. If you want to see me, perform well at the Golden List tournament. He leapt, turning into a sword light, flying across the mountains, disappearing without a trace. Guan stared at the invitation in his hand, speechless for a long time. On the mountain top, Chu Jingfeng turned his head, looking in the direction Leia disappeared, frowning. He remembered Leia. Back then, due to Leia's prince status, he even spoke a few words with him, encouraging him to practice diligently. After many years, their statuses and positions were vastly different, and he was not the sky. Guan shook his head with a smile, then put the items into his storage bag. This guy always gave things when they met, seemingly knowing his personality, and always giving items that boosted cultivation levels and qualifications. Another year saw the arrival of the Spring Festival. After dusk, Mystic Valley was very lively. Guan had just come from the Third Medicine Valley, sitting around a long table with the disciples. Zhen Qin sat on his right, continuously pouring wine for him, and talking about matters in the immortal cultivation world. The hateful Heaven Divine sword appeared in the Great Jiang dynasty nearby, turning the immortal cultivation world upside down. It's said that the hateful Heaven Divine sword has reached the transformation realm, and is accompanied by demons, very terrifying. I'm not sure if it's senior brother Su Han. Zhen Qin sighed towards the end. Talking about Su Han made her sad. They used to be so close, but now their paths diverged into good and evil. Guan said, He is no longer your senior brother. Don't call him that anymore to avoid trouble for you and us. Zhen Qin wanted to argue, but looking at the many disciples in Medicine Valley, she remained silent. Guan began picking up food for her, while watching the other disciples play drinking games. After a bowl of wine, Zhen Qin perked up and started talking about Anhao. Mentioning Anhao, her face filled with admiration, she spoke endlessly. Guan listened attentively. Suddenly, he sensed something and his expression changed slightly. After Zhen Qin finished, he said, I need to visit my room. You can continue later. I want to know about Anhao and the specific grievances with the Wanyin sect demon. After speaking, he stood up and returned to his room. Zhen Qin was not puzzled, starting to toast with Lu Jiujia. Back in his room, Guan activated the restrictions, then stepped 100 miles away. In the dark forest, there were 13 ghost-like figures moving forward. 4 of them carried a big coffin. They did not notice Guan nearby, spying on them in the dark. A group of Unification Realm cultivators. Chapter 126. Immortal King Crown. Evil Emperor Guan threw lifespan detection at the 13 figures in the forest one after another, and found that the cultivation levels of these 13 people were the same, all at the 3rd level of the Unification Realm. And their ages were also the same. They all had the surname Li. Guan could not help but think of the 9 Nether 13 evil that had alarmed the immortal cultivation world before. What were these people doing at the Supreme Sect? There were still a few years left before the Golden List Conference. Seeing that they were not moving quickly, Guan did not hurry to stop them, wanting to see what these guys were up to. That large coffin attracted Guan's attention. His divine sense probed into the coffin and found a skeleton. The skeleton emitted a bizarre feeling, and there was a dark golden crown on its head. The crown's gemstones had disappeared, leaving several grooves, yet it still seemed extraordinary. About half an hour passed. 13 figures all stopped in unison. The leader, Li Shoyo, turned around and waved his hand. The 4 people carrying the large coffin followed suit and put it down, then began to open it. Just as the cover of the coffin was about to open, a hand suddenly pressed down on it. The 13 people all looked at the end of the coffin, only to see Guan standing there, shrouded in dark purple demonic chi, his right hand pressing down on the coffin lid. The forest fell into silence. These 13 people did not run and did not attack. The other 12 all looked at Li Shoyo. Their entire bodies were pitch black, like ghostly shadows, their true appearances unclear and their emotions indiscernible. Li Shoyo nodded slightly, then knelt down. Seeing this, the other 12 followed suit and knelt down. The 9 Nether 13 evil pay respects to Sword Venerable Fu Dao. Li Shoyo said in a deep voice, not loud but clearly articulated. Guan was surprised. Were these people specifically looking for him? No wonder their actions were strange, not like invaders. Guan spoke. Give me a reason not to destroy you. These 13 should be ghost cultivators, shrouded in ghostly energy, but still possessing human chi blood and vitality. Li Shoyo answered. We are the 9 Nether 13 evil, sent by the Ghost Mother of Ephemera, to present the Immortal King Crown to Sword Venerable Fu Dao, to help the Venerable return to the position of Land Immortal. Ghost Mother of Ephemera? Guan was even more astonished. The cultivation level of the Ghost Mother of Ephemera was even one small realm lower than the 9 Nether 13 evil. How could she command these people? Why? Guan asked. He did not sense any hostility from these 13, indicating they might not be lying. Li Shoyo responded. This is the Ghost Mother's command. She has been comprehending your sword intent in the Supreme Sect for many years, and discovered that you should have mastered the Taicang Divine Shocking Sword. This swordsmanship was promoted by the imperial family Li of the Taicang dynasty, but in fact, it was not created by the primordial ancestor of the Li family, but came from the immortal king of the Ephemera sect, who is the Ghost Mother's ancestor. Because of this, the Ghost Mother came to the Taicang dynasty, intending to find the ancestor's inheritance before the Ephemera sect annihilates the Taicang dynasty. 200 years ago, the Ghost Mother had come, but unfortunately, the descendants of the Li family were mediocre in talent, and no one could comprehend the Taicang Divine Shocking Sword, so the Ghost Mother could only lie dormant. Guan's Taicang Divine Shocking Sword did come from the Li family, but he did not expect the primordial ancestor of the Li family to be related to the Ephemera sect. Does your Ghost Mother want to obtain the Taicang Divine Shocking Sword? Guan asked. Li Shoyo replied. The Ghost Mother wants to invite you back to the Ephemera sect, to use the sword intent of the Taicang Divine Shocking Sword to reclaim the position of sect hierarch of the Ephemera sect. After hearing this, Guan fell into silence. What kind of scheme was this? Driving away the tiger to swallow the wolf? Guan pushed the coffin lid open with one hand, finding that the coffin was quite hard and concealed rich restrictions, probably also a magic artifact. His gaze fell on the skeleton in the coffin. Although it was lifeless, this skeleton was very sinister. To be safe, he still threw a lifespan detection at it. Evil Emperor, Mahayana Realm 5th Layer 7600/9999/9999. Good heavens! He could actually detect it, and its maximum lifespan was identical to an house. Gu An's expression remained unchanged. He leaped up, landing on the edge of the coffin, overlooking the skeleton of the evil emperor. The 9 Nether 13 Evil immediately knelt, remaining silent. Gu An's eyes suddenly opened wide, and 2 cold lights shot out from his eyes. Boom! The skeleton of the evil emperor was instantly blasted into powder, turned into dust, leaving only the immortal king crown lying in the coffin, and the bottom of the coffin was also pierced by the breaking path divine light. The 9 Nether 13 Evil raised their heads, glanced at it, and then lowered their heads again. A prompt appeared in front of Guan. You have successfully taken 320 years of lifespan from the evil emperor, Mahayana Realm 5th Layer. Guan immediately felt a sigh of relief. Damn it! Almost scared to death. Who would have thought that this skeleton was still alive, and with a Mahayana Realm 5th Layer cultivation level? In that instant, Guan imagined many possibilities in his mind, even feeling that he had resolved a catastrophe for all living things. The name of the evil emperor did not sound like anything good. And still playing dead, hiding in a coffin, clearly harboring a world-shattering plot. Guan raised his hand, and the immortal king crown flew into his hand. He did not grab it directly but instead attached spiritual power to the immortal king crown, avoiding physical contact. He looked at Li Shoyo and asked, "Do you know the evil emperor?" Upon hearing this, Li Shoyo was momentarily stunned, then quickly said, "To be honest, this skeleton is indeed the remains of the evil emperor. 5,000 years ago, there was internal strife within the ephemera sect, and the evil emperor was plotted against by a villain, poisoned, and unable to gather spiritual power. In desperation, he put on the immortal king crown, and was instantly drained of vitality, turning into a skeleton. As a result, the immortal king crown was listed as a forbidden artifact by the ephemera sect, and no one dared to touch it. In that case, why do you dare to bring this thing to me?" Gu An's tone revealed bone-chilling killing intent. Li Shoyo said calmly, "If one masters the Taicang Divine shocking sword, the immortal king crown would recognize its master upon sensing the sword intent. The one who created the crown is the same person who created the Taicang Divine shocking sword." Guan continued to ask, "What is the relationship between the ghost mother of ephemera and the evil emperor?" "The ghost mother is a descendant of the evil emperor. Why would she bring her ancestors' remains to me? Isn't she afraid of offending me? The ghost mother hates her own bloodline. When she was young, her father turned her into an evil ghost, so she looked for the descendants of the Li family. The Li family has nothing to do with her bloodline. The founding ancestor of the Li family was only a disciple of the ephemera sect. She wants others who inherit the Taicang Divine shocking sword to seize the position of sect hierarch of the ephemera sect and complete her revenge. How dare you be certain you could find me?" The ghost mother said that as long as we approach the outer gate city where the heavenly repair platform is located, you would detect us, even if we concealed our cultivation levels, because of the vast difference in cultivation levels. The energy concealing sorcery used by Li Shoyo and the others was indeed formidable, and only Guan could see through it. Until now, they had not revealed a trace of their aura. Guan continued his questioning, and Li Shoyo answered one by one. After half an hour, Guan pondered, "I will accept the immortal king crown. You can leave now." Li Shoyo flipped his hand and took out a short flute saying, "This is the 9 Nether flute. As long as you blow it, we will come at once, waiting for your command. From now on, you are the sect hierarch of the ephemera sect, at least in our hearts." Guan raised his hand to take it, then used divine sense to inspect it. After confirming that there were no surveillance or reverse tracking restrictions inside, he put it into his storage bag. He jumped down from the coffin, signaling the 9 Nether 13 Evil to leave. The 9 Nether 13 Evil all saluted him before lifting the coffin and leaving. Guan did not immediately return to the valley, but instead sat cross-legged under the tree, placing the immortal king crown in front of him. According to Li Shoyo, tens of thousands of years ago, there was an immortal dynasty in the mortal world, where everyone could practice immortal cultivation. At that time, there was no emperor, and the ruler of the immortal dynasty called himself the immortal king. ruling over land immortals and gods. Later, the immortal dynasty met with calamity, with continuous natural disasters, cultivators encountering heart demons one after another, plagues spreading, leading to its extinction in just 10 years. The immortal king survived, but the immortal dynasty no longer existed. He did not dare to call himself an immortal anymore, not challenging the heavens' might. In the following years, his descendants founded the Ephemera sect, with one of the hierarchs creating the Taicang Divine shocking sword. The sword intent shocked the heavens, bringing about a heavenly tribulation, hence its name. This hierarch believed he had reached the realm of his ancestor the immortal king, but still could not achieve immortality. So, as his life was reaching its end, he forged the immortal king crown with his own cultivation. This crown contained the power of the immortal king. Successive hierarchs studied it, but couldn't subjugate it, only bringing misfortune upon themselves. Guan used divine sense to probe the immortal king crown, but even with a Mahayana realm 9th layer's cultivation, he could not penetrate it. He dared not test it with his own sword intent. Even if Li Shoya was telling the truth, this method might not be genuine. After all, no one had succeeded before. After much thought, Guan felt that this item was too dangerous to keep around. He stood up, used the limitless freedom step, and quickly arrived at the North Sea mountain. He dove directly to the bottom of the North Sea, buried the immortal king crown and the short flute in the seabed, and set restrictions on them. He planned to research them after breaking through several major levels in the future. After all, Guan did not need to rely on the power of the immortal king crown. After finishing everything, Guan quickly returned to Mystic Valley, and continued celebrating with his disciples. After the 9 Nether 13 evil left, Guan's life returned to peace, and no one came to disturb him again. 3 years quickly passed. Guan reached 70 years of age. One day in Tianya Valley, Guan just finished picking medicinal herbs feeling good, and personally took the herbs to the storehouse. As he exited the door, he saw LV Xian approaching. Seeing him, LV Xian's expression immediately became unnatural. Since being defeated by Guan, he had been cultivating madly, with his cultivation level soaring. Now he had reached the 6th layer of the nascent soul realm. 99 years old and a 6th layer nascent soul. Very impressive. But LV Xian felt frustrated. Despite consuming so many elixirs, he still couldn't break through to the divinity transformation realm before 100 years old. Are you participating in the Golden List conference? LV Xian asked as he drew near. Guan replied with a smile. Why should I participate? My talent is so poor that attending would only bring embarrassment. LV Xian's mouth twitched. He took a deep breath and said, I plan to participate. One night 3 years ago, I suddenly felt much less pressure. These past 3 years, I haven't been affected by heart demons or dreams. I might as well participate in the Golden List conference to relax. Relax. Others were probably in for a tough time. Guan inwardly mocked, then sensed the residual soul aura within LV Xian. One residual soul was missing. Previously there were 7 souls, now only 6 remained. 3 years ago at night, Guan suddenly thought of something. Could it be that the evil emperor also left residual souls within LV Xian? This did not make sense. How could the evil emperor and LV Xian be related? The evil emperor was a long-dead hierarch of the Ephemera sect, while LV Xian was the biological son of LV Batian. Wait, could LV Batian have a connection with the Ephemera sect? Chapter 127. Path of Returning Primordial Spirit. Completely becoming a dragon, Guan was merely puzzled, and had no intention of investigating LV Batian or LV Xian. No matter what these people's identities were, or what conspiracy they might have, as long as it didn't affect him, he couldn't be bothered to care. The hearts of the people in this world were unpredictable. To investigate each one would be exhausting. Guan and LV Xian started to chat idly. Now, LV Xian was very respectful towards him, and didn't dare to be even a little frivolous. They chatted for quite a while before Guan finally left. Everyone in the valley was already used to him not spending the night in Tianya Valley. After Guan left, LV Xian found Yi Luyan and began to spar in combat. preparing for the Golden Ranking Tournament. There were only 2 years left until the Golden Ranking Tournament. Years passed by, and the 9 Dynasties lands welcomed peace, while the Supreme Sect's Golden Ranking Tournament drew the attention of people from all over the world, becoming a once-in-century grand event. 2 years later, as the Golden Ranking Tournament approached, cultivators could be seen soaring across the sky over Mystic Valley every day. Unlike before, the Supreme Sect dispatched many disciples to patrol and protect all Outer Sect servant disciples, maintaining their image as the true orthodox sect of the world. 72-year-old Guan was in the loft, receiving Yilan. The first batch of disciples who went to train on the 9 Nether Road had all returned, and were all preparing to participate in the Golden Ranking Tournament to bring glory to the Supreme Sect. Having not seen each other for many years, Yilan's temperament had become even more outstanding, showing the demeanor of a genius female cultivator. She remembered Gu An's words and had been continually cultivating Taoist expansion skill, so her cultivation level hadn't increased. The two sat and chatted, with Yilan recounting the wonders of the 9 Nether Road, and Guan listened with keen interest. The 9 Nether Road, which was said to be a road, was actually more like a secret realm, with demons and ghosts running rampant, having its own unique ecosystem and producing many special heavenly materials and earthly treasures. Yilan said that she also encountered cultivators and members of the demon clan, not from the 9 Dynasties lands within the 9 Nether Road. From her descriptions, Guan envisioned many scenes in his mind and found them very interesting. After chatting for a full hour, Guan finally asked, "Will you be participating in the Golden Ranking Tournament?" Yilan nodded and said, "Yes, the elders gave me a post. All the 100 disciples from the 9 Nether Road must participate. The first Golden Ranking Tournament must be grand and cannot bring shame to the Supreme Sect." Guan blinked, feeling a bit helpless. Couldn't he send out the post he had in his hand? Shenzhen, Guyu, and Zwolin all had posts, and the disciples in the valley had mediocre aptitudes. Participating would be futile and only lead to suffering. "Senior brother, why don't you participate too? Although your cultivation level isn't high, your strength is far from simple," Yilan said with a light laugh, remembering that Gu An's leg technique was very strong. Since Gu An's cultivation level hadn't increased, he must have spent most of his time practicing his leg technique, which made his strength undoubtedly formidable. Guan helplessly replied, "I can't even beat you. Participating in the Golden Ranking Tournament would just be asking for trouble." After hearing this, Yilan didn't persuade him any further, and started chatting about the affairs of the immortal cultivation world. It wasn't until evening that Yilan left Mystic Valley. Guan stood on the balcony, a smile on his face. Yilan's maximum lifespan had increased by a year, though insignificant. It showed that the Taoist expansion skill was indeed somewhat effective. Chu Jingfeng, Lu Jiojia, and Xiaochuan's maximum lifespans hadn't increased, probably due to their level of dedication. And the spiritual energy of the 9 Nether Road was far richer than that of Medicine Valley. Guan turned around and went back indoors to continue his study of the Ziwei Array Chronicles. This book had deepened Gu An's understanding of formations, bringing him closer to becoming a true Mahayana cultivator. Mahayana cultivators were not only accomplished in their cultivation, but also had rich life experiences and knowledge in various supplementary paths. Guan didn't need to cultivate, so he could spend his time accumulating knowledge in other areas. That night, Guan sneaked to North Sea Mountain, hid under a tree, and opened the lifespan barrier, then invested 5,000 years of lifespan into the Taoist expansion skill. Since the Taoist expansion skill was useful, he thought he would enhance it and see what happened. A series of notifications appeared crazily before Gu An's eyes, and eventually, the Taoist expansion skill advanced to the Taoist mystic skill. It only took 2,000 years of lifespan for the Taoist expansion skill to advance to the Taoist mystic skill, and the remaining 3,000 years were just for enhancing its proficiency. Guan immediately invested another 5,000 years of lifespan. This time, after cultivating for 2,000 years, the Taoist mystic skill advanced to the primordial reincarnation skill. It had primordial in its name so quickly, indicating that the Taoist expansion skill itself had a high rank and grade, No wonder only Yilan and Wuxin had mastered it so far. Afterward, the primordial reincarnation skill allowed him to master a divine skill called the Path of Returning Primordial Spirit. Guan began to inherit the primordial reincarnation skill, and earth spirit energy surged into his body. A vast amount of memory flooded his mind. The primordial reincarnation skill contained the mysteries of the Taoist expansion skill, and extended the profoundness of accumulating cultivation, level to be passed on through lifetimes. After cultivating the primordial reincarnation skill, one's cultivation level would no longer increase. Instead, through accumulating spiritual power, one's aptitudes would transform. Unlike the Taoist expansion skill, it was no longer limited to one lifetime but could be repeated, and each time the accumulated cultivation level was greater, the transformation in aptitude would be more substantial. Moreover, the primordial reincarnation skill would form a soul imprint. After a cultivator's death and rebirth, the memory of this skill would awaken in adulthood in each lifetime, continuing to accumulate until reaching immortality or the soul's demise, where the path of reincarnation ceased. The Path of Returning Primordial Spirit was an extremely domineering sealing divine skill that could suppress a being's cultivation level to a certain realm, or even completely seal them, turning them into a mortal spirit without any cultivation. This seal could only be unlocked using the Path of Returning Primordial Spirit. Even if powerful beings far surpassing Guan's capabilities tried to help, it would cause the spiritual power to run amok, making the sealed one's cultivation run wild, and causing immediate death. Upon understanding this divine skill, Guan was very fond of it. He just happened to be lacking such a means. As for the primordial reincarnation skill, he considered it mastered, and he was not inclined to invest more time into it. He did not seek thousands of worlds. He only pursued this lifetime. But this skill could be taught to those he cared about. Through the memories of the primordial reincarnation skill, Guan learned a harsh truth. The 9 layers of a mortal path, each layer harder than the last. The first layer was nirvana, a realm where mortal spirits transcended. Before reaching nirvana, lifespans could not exceed tens of thousands of years. Only after nirvana could one witness a fundamental transformation in life essence, drastically increasing lifespan. Guan suddenly realized that maximum lifespan might not just indicate aptitude, but could also represent the maximum time each being had in this world, serving as a measure of one's life. For example, and Hao had nearly 10,000 years to pursue the nirvana realm, while Yilan had less than 200 years. The latter, even with multiple opportunities, would be in vain. The Taoist expansion skill could help Yilan extend her time in the world, but its effect was limited. Even if Yilan mastered the primordial reincarnation skill, her maximum lifespan would only increase several times at most. Guan slowly opened his eyes, his gaze deep. Heavenly Destiny. Summer arrived, and the Supreme Sect's Golden Ranking Tournament commenced as scheduled. Participants in the Golden Ranking Tournament were all cultivators under 500 years old, and the Supreme Sect would test the bone age of the participants specifically. The post Leia had given to Guan for the Golden Ranking Tournament. He wasn't sure who to give it to, and didn't want to waste it, so he chose to register himself. At 72 years of age, he successfully registered with the eligibility of youth. The Golden Ranking Tournament was conducted in a one-on-one format, with no fixed duration, continuing until completion. The Supreme Sect would heal the injured participants to keep them in optimal condition. Special formations would be set up by the Supreme Sect to suppress the higher cultivations to the level of their opponents, ensuring fairness in terms of realm. When the Golden Ranking Tournament began, Guan was watching from the eaves of the outer sect, sitting with Yilan. Between them was a small table, accompanied by spirit melons, spirit fruits, and fine wine. From their perspective, a gigantic light screen was suspended in the air above the outer sect, reflecting the scenes of the combats within. Guan didn't recognize the two cultivators fighting, but enjoyed the spectacle nonetheless. As Yilan peeled some fruit for Guan, she said, "Senior brother, the cultivation technique you passed to me is very difficult, much harder than the previous one. I wonder when I'll be able to master it." Guan replied, "Cultivating is never easy. The Taoist expansion skill could at most double one's maximum lifespan, while the primordial reincarnation skill could increase it several times. If Yilan could master it, living to 800 years this lifetime wouldn't be impossible. For someone with Yilan's aptitude, this was already a great blessing. Yilan smiled and said, "I will definitely master it, don't worry." At this moment, a thunderous uproar rose in the city. It turned out that the first combat had already concluded. The victor is Duan Su from the Flame sect of the Great Zhao dynasty. Gu Zong's voice resounded from the giant light screen, causing the whole city to buzz with discussion. Yilan looked at the screen and smiled. Impressive. Guan nodded and then picked up his cup to drink. "Brother Gu." A voice came from the side. Guan and Yilan turned to see Wuju standing on a distant rooftop, looking at them with a very unpleasant expression. 5 years had passed, and Wuju was still at the 9th layer of the Foundation Establishment realm. But his chi blood was vastly different from before. Ignoring him for 5 years, his maximum lifespan must have skyrocketed, right? Guan felt like he was about to open a mystery box. He cautiously used lifespan detection on him. Wuju Foundation Establishment Realm, 9th layer. 74/350/7600 7,600 years. Good grief. Now he had truly become a dragon. Wuju suddenly appeared on the rooftop where Guan and Yilan were, 7 steps away. He frowned and asked, "Who is this woman? Are you not being faithful to Miss Shen?" Upon hearing this, Yilan squinted her eyes at Guan and asked, "Who is Miss Shen?" Guan felt a headache coming on and immediately said, "This is my junior sister, Yilan. Miss Shen is nothing, how can she compare? I just have some dealings with Miss Shen, nothing more." Yilan's expression softened upon hearing this. Wuju angrily said, "Forget about Miss Shen, why didn't you come to see me after you were done?" Yilan was taken aback. She thought Wuju had something to do with Miss Shen and had come to stand up for her, but why did his tone suddenly change? Guan shook his head and said, "Why are you shouting so loud? I didn't want to disturb your cultivation. What, do you want to hit me?" Wuju's face turned red with anger and he muttered, "How could I hit you?" Yilan sensed that Wuju was not simple, and looking at his embarrassed demeanor, she became more curious about his relationship with Guan. Subsequently, Guan invited Wuju to sit down. Although reluctant, Wuju sat on the other side of Guan's junior sister. "This is my brother, named Wuju, who is also participating in the Golden Ranking Tournament," Guan introduced. Yilan nodded towards Wuju. Wuju scratched his head and said, "I can participate in the Golden Ranking Tournament thanks to Brother Gus' post." Yilan couldn't help but look at Guan, her eyes filled with suspicion. Senior brother's methods were quite impressive. He registered himself, but he could also get a post for someone else. Chapter 128. 3 Pure Ones Mountain Divine Skills, so-called Fairness. Guan, Yilan, and Wuju drank wine and ate fruit while enjoying the battles of the Golden List tournament. In the previous days, they didn't have any matches, so they watched the excitement. Yilan and Wuju became familiar with each other, and Wuju was no longer so awkward. It wasn't until the 5th day that it was Wuju's turn to participate in a match. As he left, Yilan asked curiously, "Senior brother, whose disciple is he? He seems quite extraordinary." She was well-traveled and knowledgeable enough to recognize Wuju's remarkable nature. After multiple bouts of path enlightenment, Wuju's temperament had already transformed. Even with ordinary looks and attire, he exuded an unforgettable aura. His master died, and he has been an orphan since childhood. I befriended him immediately, and am his only friend. I didn't visit him for 5 years on purpose, which is why he's so angry," Guan replied. After hearing this, Yilan felt a mix of pity and amusement for Wuju. She sighed, "Senior brother, you really are." "What? Nothing." Yilan's gaze turned to the huge light screen in the sky, and Guan followed her gaze. The 2 people fighting in the light screen were no ordinary individuals. One was a young Taoist in a green robe, and the other a man in battle armor wielding a long weapon. With one glance, Guan could tell that both fighters' realms were higher than those before. The Taoist in green robes must be at the Divinity Transformation realm, while the man in battle armor was at the Void Crossing realm. Both were under 500 years old, making them top-notch talents. Surpassing the core formation realm couldn't be achieved by merely throwing resources at it. What was expected to be an exceptional battle ended abruptly when the green-robed Taoist raised a hand, formed a seal, and released a character radiating green light. It was a Dao character, 100 feet in both length and width, resembling a mountain, crashing into the armored man with incredible speed, causing him to cough blood and fly out, losing his combat ability directly. Even though the armored man was suppressed to the divinity transformation realm, losing so quickly still surprised Guan. From his perspective, the green-robed Taoist seal already had the essence of divine skills. Defeating his opponent in one move drew raucous reactions from the entire city. The winner is Sage Xianmiao from Taicang Dynasty's Three Pure Ones Mountain. An elder's voice echoed from the light screen, ensuring everyone remembered the green-robed Taoist's name. Yilan sighed. Three Pure Ones Mountain is truly formidable. I've witnessed it before on the Nine Nether Road. It's Taicang Dynasty's primary sect, with few disciples but each is powerful. It's said they once produced an immortal, though the truth is unknown. Guan silently noted the sect's name. Sage Xianmiao's Taoist seal was indeed powerful, enough to showcase the deep-rooted foundation of Three Pure Ones Mountain's Taoist tradition. An hour later, finally, it was Wu Ju's turn to make a move. The battles at the Foundation establishment realm were not as exaggerated as those of Sage Xianmiao. So many were not very expectant. However, once Wu Ju threw a punch, the earth-shattering momentum immediately captured everyone's attention in the city. With each punch, it was like the sun bursting forth, the scorching fist wind making it hard for his opponent to counter. Each of Wu Ju's punches was full of power, extremely domineering. After 8 punches, his opponent was beaten to their knees, continuously coughing blood. The winner is Wu Ju from Supreme Sect of Taicang Dynasty. The city erupted in discussions, starting to talk about Wu Ju. Yilan was stunned. She knew Wu Ju was exceptional, but didn't expect him to be this formidable. Guan watched with a smile on his face, aware that Wu Ju's legendary journey was about to begin. That sunset fist was quite ordinary, but Wu Ju practiced it to a level of transformation, even exhibiting signs of advancement. Path enlightenment seemed to enhance his understanding of fist techniques. In the afternoon, within the Third Medicine Valley, Guan and LV Baitian met in a pavilion. After months, LV Baitian looked pleased and exuberant. He opened his right hand, revealing a pearl in his palm, and smiled. This is a supreme-grade magic artifact, the Thousand Shadow Pearl. In the next 2 days, refine it, and then use it at the end of the month meeting. Guan accepted the Thousand Shadow Pearl, and smiling bitterly asked, "Do you still want me to keep winning?" In recent days, some cultivators in the Golden List tournament had won using magic artifacts. According to the rules, each cultivator could only bring 1 magic artifact or formation to maintain fairness. Sword cultivators, blade cultivators, array repairers, and others had to use magic artifacts. Banning them would be unfair. Even with only 1 magic artifact allowed, instances of cultivators winning using magic artifacts had already led to criticism in various cities. LV Baitian laughed. "I've already planned your opponents and combat times. There's still time. I don't expect you to become world famous, but getting close to the top 500 would lay a solid foundation." With talents from 9 dynasties gathered, the top 500 were naturally extraordinary individuals. Guan had intended to just have fun, but he didn't expect LV Baitian to play it this way. Sect leader, fairness, don't forget these 2 words. Guan reminded helplessly. LV Baitian's methods were never righteous. But then he thought again, LV Baitian had always been this way. Even his cultivation techniques were somewhat unorthodox. LV Baitian nonchalantly said, "How is it unfair? Those descendants of noble families, which of them doesn't rely on their family resources? I'm giving you a magic artifact, and they have their elders' support. Arranging your opponents is just to give you better luck, without harming the opponents. The final outcome still depends on strength." Guan fiddled with the Thousand Shadow Pearl, feeling a bit hesitant. "As long as you enter the top 500, I'll reward you with a 6th-order spirit tree," LV Baitian said sternly. Hearing this, Guan immediately gripped the 1,000 shadow pearl and said, "Well, since that's the case, I can only do my best." LV Batian stood up smiling. "All right, refine the restrictions soon. The toughest ones have already been refined by me. The remaining ones won't trouble you." After that, he left the pavilion. Guan didn't see him off but instead stared at the 1,000 shadow pearl in his hand, deep in thought. The Golden List tournament continued for several months, and Guan had to take care of Medicine Valley, so he didn't go to watch every day. Yi Lan and Wu Ju also needed to prepare for battles. Until the end of the month, Guan finally faced his opponent. The token exchange for the Golden List token was a magic artifact used specifically to convey messages. That morning, the Golden List token emitted a sound, instructing him to wait nearby. Each outer gate city had the transmission array for the Golden List tournament, making it easy to find. After teleporting to the venue, Guan patiently waited. This was a vast valley, divided into two halves. One for the waiting area and the other for the combat area. The combat area spanned several miles, surrounded by formations, isolated from the outside world. "Guan, you're participating too? Aren't you afraid of getting beaten up?" A light-hearted voice sounded. Guan didn't need to turn around to know that Shenzhen was walking toward him. Just trying," Guan said calmly. Recently, the storyline of Supreme Secret Records had annoyed him. The Guan in the book bullied weak girls. Although it was a misunderstanding, his actions were a bit domineering, which made him less fond of Shenzhen. Shenzhen seemed to understand this and didn't mind his attitude, instead laughing. "If you encounter me, I won't hold back. But if you speak nicely to me, I might just let you win. A man of integrity. How can I allow you to insult me?" Guan glanced at her, sneering. Shenzhen chuckled, laughing out loud. She bumped Guan with her shoulder and said, "Don't be mad, the book will end soon. I'm getting tired of it. After the Golden List tournament, I'm going into seclusion for cultivation. You might not see me for decades." Hearing this, Guan's expression softened and he asked, "Did you gain some insight from the painting?" "Yes, I might attain enlightenment," Shenzhen said proudly, smiling. Such bragging. Guan started chatting with Shenzhen as they waited for his match. Suddenly, a woman teleported in, her aura catching Guan's attention. Ghost Mother of Ephemera. Why was she here again? Does she think there are no people in Supreme Sect? Coming and leaving as she pleases? Guan thought to himself, though he didn't look at the Ghost Mother of Ephemera. Although the Ghost Mother wanted to make him the sect hierarch, he still felt strongly against her. There was no helping it. She had even brought a void-crossing realm 5th layer evil creature before him. If he hadn't had lifespan detection, he wouldn't have noticed the evil emperor was not dead. Too dangerous. The Ghost Mother had transformed into another woman, seemingly using possession techniques. She also didn't pay attention to Guan, possibly not even remembering him. Half an hour later, Shenzhen won her match and was teleported out of the valley. Guan waited another hour for his turn. His opponent was weak, merely a core formation realm cultivator. Suppressed to the Foundation Establishment realm, Guan acted through several moves before using the 1,000 Shadow Pearl to defeat him. To the spectators, the fight was quite dull, with only a few remembering Guan. Just like that. Summer passed and autumn arrived. Guan had 3 combat matches, winning narrowly each time. By now there were still 1,000 participants remaining. Supreme Sect didn't mind the time at all. During this period, Spirit Stone profits in each city doubled, making a massive profit. After 3 months of combat, a batch of geniuses had already emerged, the most illustrious being in Hao unparalleled. He hadn't even used the Taicang Divine Shocking Sword, but used spells learned from Supreme Sect to overpower all opponents. Following were LV Xian, Sage Xian Miao, and other talents from various dynasties. Every dynasty among the 9 had someone renowned in the Golden List tournament. Ji Xiaoyu hadn't participated, but other Ji family disciples performed strongly. The Golden List tournament had spread across the 9 dynasties, capturing the attention of cultivators worldwide, significantly boosting Supreme Sect's reputation among the other 8 dynasties. Within the Taicang dynasty, the sects from other 8 dynasties also became famous, probably one of the reasons for their response. For Guan, the Golden List tournament was just a diversion, not caring much about the outcome. Initially finding it entertaining, his interest waned over time, leading him to focus on cultivation. On this day, a rumor spread before the Golden List tournament. And Hao versus Liya. Liya had also showcased his strength, proving himself, considered to have top 100 potential. Facing in Hao, who was assumed to claim the top spot, naturally drew much attention. Guan in the Third Medicine Valley heard disciples flying overhead on their swords, shouting announcements, and became interested, heading to the outer gate city to watch. He noticed disciples flocking to the outer gate city from all directions, making him sigh. LV Baitian finally mastered the art of marketing. Guan too was expectant. Who was stronger, Liya or Hao? Both seemed to have lives like heavenly destiny protagonists, though with different trajectories. Chapter 129. How do you also know the Taicang Divine shocking sword? At the combat arena, Liya, dressed in black, slowly took the North Sea heavy sword off his back. His expression was stern, his gaze fixated on the figure 100 feet away, eyes full of battle intent. His opponent was none other than Hao. Hao stood tall, dressed in splendid blue robes, a gold thread purple belt, his long hair coiled beneath a silver crown inlaid with a golden phoenix. He was adjusting his wrist guard, which was crafted finely. A breeze stirred the black locks at the sides of his cheeks. His smile was radiant. He raised his chin slightly, looked down on Liya, and said with a chuckle, "Previously, you relied on the weight of that sword to defeat your enemies. This time your opponent is me, so don't think you can hide your strength." Liya asked, how old are you this year?" Hao answered, 40 why? 40 years old, at the 9th layer of core formation. Liya fell silent, just hearing that invoked jealousy. He took a deep breath, raised the North Sea heavy sword, and said, "Then let me see the prowess of the Supreme Sect's #1 genius." As his words fell, he stepped forward, and in 3 steps he was slashing at Hao, the heavy North Sea heavy sword raising a gust of wind. Hao used his right hand, 2 fingers forming a sword chi emanating from his fingertips, countering Liya's sword moves. Sword lights flickered, sword chi soared, their figures intertwined, engaging in a fierce and swift battle, drawing waves of cheers from the outer gate city. Guan stood on the eaves, looking up at the fight. Wuju suddenly appeared beside him, also gazing up at the light screen. He marveled. These two are incredible. Of course, they are the renowned geniuses of the Supreme Sect. Guan replied. Both Hao and Liya were in the core formation realm. But the battle they demonstrated was far more exciting than other core formation geniuses' battles. Liya's force was huge and powerful, like he could split mountains and rivers. Hao was light and graceful, facing Liya's sword moves with great ease. Their movements were extremely fast. Most of the disciples in the outer gate city couldn't keep up. They kept maneuvering. Only the sword light could mark their positions. Clang. Hao flipped and swung his arm, the sword chi on his fingers pressing down on Liya's legs, the North Sea heavy sword shaking above his head, showing Hao's immense chi. Liya didn't expect Hao to match his strength, even though he had consumed the dragon image divine primordial, increasing his pressure. Boom. A terrifying sword intent burst out, sending Hao flying. He flipped in the air and landed steadily 100 feet away. Hao looked at Liya in astonishment, then followed with a wild smile. The battle light screen transmitted part of the battle pressure, allowing the spectators to know the fight was real. Once Liya's sword intent was released, the entire Supreme Sect was thrilled. This is the sword intent of Sword Venerable Fu Dao. Liya has received the inheritance of Sword Venerable Fu Dao? I've stayed at the Heavenly Repair platform for days. This is definitely the sword intent of Sword Venerable Fu Dao. Liya is so powerful. I didn't expect the strongest among the royal disciples to be him. He's much stronger than his sister Li Xuanyu. The city Guan was in also erupted in a thunderous uproar. Countless people were amazed by the Taicang Divine shocking sword unleashed by Liya. Wu Ju felt the sword intent inside. So powerful, I feel like it won't be easy to win against him. Guan glanced at him. Just not easy. Entwined in the sword intent, Liya straightened, raising his sword to point at Hao, his black hair fluttering, and black robes rustling. His entire demeanor changed dramatically, his expression became more severe. The battle only truly begins now. Liya said coldly he didn't expect to be forced to use the Taicang Divine shocking sword so early, blaming his own bad luck for encountering and how prematurely. When he unleashed the Taicang Divine shocking sword, he felt the battle was over. Although Hao had yet to unleash powerful spells, no spell could match the Taicang Divine shocking sword. Hao's comprehension of sword intent was kept secret. Liya, who was often away, had no clue about Hao's combat techniques. However, seeing Hao smiling, Liya felt puzzled. This guy's gone mad? Hao patted his robe, his smile growing. Boom! An overwhelming sword intent surpassed Liya's, shaking the entire valley. Violent sword chi condensed into a giant face above Hao, looking down at Liya. Before this giant sword chi face, Liya looked insignificant, his sword chi trivial. Impossible. How do you also know the Taicang Divine shocking sword? Liya shouted in disbelief. In the outer gate city, countless people gasped. Even Hao had received the inheritance of sword venerable Fudao. The ghost mother of ephemera on the heavenly repair platform looked at the light screen in the sky. Her brows furrowed, her eyes also showing shock. The Taicang Divine shocking sword, which had disappeared for thousands of years, reappeared in the mortal world, and 3 inheritors emerged at once? The ghost mother of ephemera, well aware of the Taicang Divine shocking sword's origins, was also taken aback, her respect for sword venerable Fudao growing. She could tell these two, wielding the Taicang Divine shocking sword, were certainly related to sword venerable Fudao. In the light screen, Hao soared into the air, looking down on Liya, said with a smile, "Since we are from the same lineage, let's see whose sword intent is stronger." He raised his right hand, palm facing Liya, his smile fading. When Liya used the Taicang Divine shocking sword, Hao felt a sense of kinship, recognizing Liya as a fellow disciple. But even among brothers, he would not hold back. Hao was born to be the strongest. All opponents must submit at his feet. Hao's eyes focused, the giant sword chi face's eyes widened. Countless sword shadows shot out like a river of stars, unstoppable. Liya gripped his sword with both hands, slashing down with his strongest sword move. He gritted his teeth, his face twisted, and shouted in his heart, "I cannot lose." The 2 sword intents collided, sword light enveloping the whole city. Wuju's face was lit up by the sword light. He was stunned. "Hao is so strong, I'm not a match," Wuju murmured. If his opponent was Liya, he might have some confidence, but Hao's strength left him feeling hopeless. Guan watched the battle with a blank expression. The progress of Hao and Liya pleased him, but knowing Liya would soon be seriously injured dampened his mood. He even suspected LV Baitian purposely orchestrated this, as LV Baitian always disliked Li Xiandao, so he arranged for Hao to target Li Zuando's favorite son? Regardless, Li Ya's journey ended here, not even breaking the top 500. After a few breaths, the sword's power dissipated. The ground shattered. Liya lay there covered in blood, his black robes torn apart, no strength left to stand up. The winner is Hao from the Taicang dynasty's supreme sect. As the elder announced the result, the entire city burst with excitement, praising Hao's might. Previously, Hao had never displayed such powerful sword techniques, but always defeated his enemies with ease. This time, everyone witnessed Hao's sword chi and spiritual power, looking nothing like a core formation cultivator, more like a nascent soul cultivator. Guan looked at Wuju and said, "If you face Hao, do not confront him head-on." In the same realm, anyone facing Hao would be eliminated. Even multiple path enlightenments couldn't help Wuju against him. Among all the participants, likely only Guan could defeat Hao, but he had no intention to, and LV Baitian wouldn't allow it to happen. "You too," Wuju muttered. Guan smiled, this kid was interesting. The news of Hao receiving the inheritance of sword venerable Fudao spread like a whirlwind, sweeping across the immortal cultivation world. As for the defeated Liya, many thought he only comprehended the sword intent at the heavenly repair platform, and was not the true inheritor of sword venerable Fudao. Though both wielded the Taicang Divine shocking sword, his sword intent paled compared to Hao's. Hao's famed sword, while Liya was quickly forgotten. After his defeat, Liya did not seek out Guan, likely recuperating and brooding in his cave. 10 days later, in Tianya Valley, Guan met Li Xiandao. Li Xiandao waved at him from afar, and he immediately sat down beside him. Lv Xian, Luoyun, and Luo Hun were also seated at the table. As Guan approached, Luo Hun thoughtfully gave up his seat. "How is Liya?" Li Xiandao asked with a smile, seemingly unconcerned about Liya's defeat. Guan noticed his cultivation level had increased to the 3rd layer of Void Crossing Realm. Honestly, Guan was quite interested to see Li Xiandao participate in the Golden List Conference. He believed Li Xiandao could make it to the top 10. Li Xiandao was not yet 300 years old, qualifying for the Golden List Conference. A void-crossing realm cultivator under 300 years was a rare talent worldwide. "Not sure he didn't come to find me," Guan replied. Li Xiandao sighed. "Losing to Anhao is not shameful. Anhao's fame has spread to the other 8 dynasties. Everyone recognizes his talent. Setting aside strength just by his advancement speed, Anhao was unmatched." Jiang Qiong had reached the core formation at 40, thinking her talent supreme, but at 40, Anhao could already form his nascent soul. The only reason he hadn't was because of the Golden List Conference. A 1st-layer nascent soul, Anhao facing a 9th-layer nascent soul top talent might win but would be exhausted. But dragging the opponent down to the 9th layer of core formation realm eliminated any suspense. Guan nodded. "Anhao is truly formidable. Senior brother Li just had bad luck." Lv Xian snorted. "No worries, I'll avenge Liya." He had participated in 3 fights. No one had lasted 10 moves against him. Li Xiandao looked at Guan and said, "I've sent your disciple Yi Yan to cultivate at the 3 Pure Ones Mountain of the Chentang dynasty. When he returns, he'll be transformed." Yi Yan? Guan thought of the disciple who held a spear all day, not expecting such an opportunity for him. Of course, he understood Li Xiandao was giving him a hint. Without his arrangement, Yi Yan would never have such a chance. "Thank you, uncle," Guan said immediately. Li Xiandao then said, "Do you think if I could enlist Sword Venerable Fu Dao, I could secure the throne?" Guan replied, "Without him you can also secure it." Li Xiandao laughed. Luoyun and Lv Xian didn't laugh, they agreed. Li Xiandao restrained his laugh and said, "I've found out who Sword Venerable Fu Dao is." Chapter 130 Breakthrough Midnight Battle. Who is it? It was not Guan who asked but Lv Xian. Luoyun also looked at Li Xiandao with curiosity. Sword Venerable Fu Dao's reputation was too great, and some even considered him the #1 cultivator of the Taicang dynasty. Li Zuando's mouth curved up as he said, "He has a close relationship with Liya." Upon hearing this, Guan's heart trembled. How did he guess this far? Lv Xian frowned tightly and asked, "Liya? What kind of relationship?" Li Xiandao shook his head and said, "I cannot divulge the specifics, lest we offend the elder." "Elder?" Guan let out a sigh of relief. Then, Li Xiandao began to discuss other talents who gained fame at the Golden List Grand Assembly. He highly praised the Supreme Sect for hosting the assembly, thinking that Lv Batian had become enlightened, and was no longer as foolish and domineering as before. They chatted for an ancient hour before Li Xiandao finally released Guan to work. This time he had brought high-rank saplings, which greatly interested Guan. The grade and rank of the medicinal herbs in Tianya Valley were continuously improving, indirectly proving that Li Zuando's power was growing. Though the herbs in Tianya Valley belonged to Li Xiandao, Guan could harvest an endless stream of lifespan from them, so he hoped for Li Zuando's continual success. Yes, and also wished Lv Batian well so everyone could get along harmoniously. In immortal cultivation, temporary victories and defeats did not matter. The real winner was the one who lived the longest. In late autumn, Guan narrowly made it into the top 500 of the Golden List Grand Assembly with the help of the 1000 Shadow Pearl. For the upcoming matches he was prepared to lose. Although he repeatedly achieved victories, Guan did not build a reputation due to the difficulty of his wins, the unattractiveness of the battles, and the anonymity of his opponents. At noon in Mystic Valley, Guan was instructing Yilan in the primordial reincarnation skill. Yilan had already been eliminated but was not disheartened and was instead more determined. The two of them conversed for several ancient hours, during which Yilan's many questions about the primordial reincarnation skill were resolved. Senior brother, your achievement in this skill is really high. It seems you have been secretly practicing it diligently. No wonder your cultivation level hasn't increased, Yilan remarked with admiration. In her heart, she grew even more respectful of Sword Venerable Fu Dao, who was not only formidable in Sword Dao but also mastered such a miraculous skill. She now believed for sure that Sword Venerable Fu Dao was Gu An's mentor, as Guan had taken the Qinghong sword to find Sword Venerable Fu Dao to save her. She had once suspected that Guan himself was Sword Venerable Fu Dao, but the cultivation realm displayed by Sword Venerable Fu Dao was too high, and Gu An's age did not match. Guan did not refute, as this explanation was perfect. He raised his right hand and conjured over a storage bag, handing it to Yilan. Take this back and train well. Yilan did not check the contents and instead fastened the storage bag to her belt, then stood up. By the way, senior brother, keep your distance from senior brother Liya for a while. The upper echelon is currently investigating all disciples of the Li family within the sect, with unclear intentions but undoubtedly no good purpose. Guan looked puzzled but nodded as he rose to see his junior sister off. The investigation of the Li family disciples within the Supreme Sect did not concern Guan much, as this was not the first time such a thing had happened. Though the Supreme Sect was the leading righteous sect of the Taicang Dynasty, internal strife was never-ending. As for whether it would harm Liya, Guan had no means to worry over that. He couldn't possibly keep an eye on Liya at all times. Everyone has their own life, and no matter how good or bad, as long as they get through it, it belongs to their own experiences. A few days later, Guan went to participate in the Golden List Grand Assembly. Against his opponent, he directly conceded, stunning his opponent. A month later, the top 100 emerged. Only Wuju had the cultivation level of the Foundation Establishment realm. All other cultivators' minimum level was the Core Formation realm. This news quickly spread, making Wuju famous. When LV Baitian delivered a 6th-rank spirit tree, Guan mentioned Wuju, hoping LV Baitian could find a good mentor for Wuju. This made LV Baitian look at Guan with admiration. Such a good prospect found by you in advance, and you still say you are unfit to be the sect leader? LV Baitian said with a smile. Guan smiled and responded, just a stroke of fate. The Supreme Sect has many geniuses. This doesn't speak to my vision, but to the abundant foundations and great fortune of the Supreme Sect. LV Baitian was very satisfied with Gu An's rhetoric. Regardless of whether it was genuine, it was very suitable for a sect leader. Regarding Wuju, I can't promise anything. He has already become a disciple of Zhouyu. Understand that taking An Hao as a disciple was already a major move that met with opposition. I cannot take on any more genius disciples. The Supreme Sect is not a place for one person's dictation. LV Baitian explained meaningfully. Zhouyu, one of the Supreme Sect's venerable pavilion, had more power than the Hall of Elders. Becoming his disciple meant Wuju had a limitless future. Guan then thought of that true inheritor-disciple, who was not in a mentor-disciple relationship with LV Baitian, effectively counterbalancing him. It seemed that in the Supreme Sect, even accepting disciples involved a consideration of interests. Of course, the main reason was that LV Baitian was not strong enough, at least not to the extent where he could suppress the 3 great families single-handedly. I plan to take action against the Li family, but rest assured, I won't harm Liya, LV Baitian continued. Hearing this, Guan immediately raised his hand to salute him. LV Baitian waved his hand. After the Golden List Grand Assembly, the Supreme Sect will soar. However, potential crises remain, not to mention the Ephemera Sect main lineage on the other end of the Nine Nether Road. There are also those within the 9 dynasties looking to scheme against the Supreme Sect. To avoid unnecessary trouble, I will visit your Medicine Valley less often. Do not indulge any further. Practice diligently, understand? He felt somewhat helpless as he spoke these last words. He had already passed on the Defying Fate Divine skill to Guan, but saw no significant results. Guan nodded and said, I will manage Medicine Valley well and not disappoint the Supreme Sect. Hearing this, LV Baitian gave him a final glare before rising to leave. Guan hurried to see him off. Heavy snow had already blanketed the third medicine valley, and the flying snow threatened to engulf everything. LV Baishan's figure soon vanished into the vast snow. Time flew by. Another Chinese New Year arrived, and the Golden List Grand Assembly concluded the day before Chinese New Year. In the evening, Guan went to Mystic Valley to spend the festival with the disciples. Zhen Qin had just returned from the outer sect, and was discussing the Golden List Grand Assembly rankings with the disciples. After the assembly, the Supreme Sect would publish a book recording the life stories of the top 100, symbolizing authority in a way. Winning first place was in Hao without any suspense. The second place was not LV Xian but Sage Xian Miao from Three Pure Ones Mountain. The duel between Sage Xian Miao and In Hao had become legendary, and the name of Three Pure Ones Mountain reverberated throughout the Taicang dynasty. LV Xian ranked third, and was likely depressed. The rest were mostly aristocratic geniuses, with the Zhou, Gu, and Ji families occupying 30% of the top 100. The dominance of the three great families was evident. Wu Ju, with his foundation establishment realm, made it into the top 20 but was severely defeated by In Hao when they met, although he had proven himself and became a bona fide genius. Sitting down, Guan listened to the disciples excitedly discuss the Golden List Grand Assembly, showing an interested look. The disciples also flattered him, feeling honored that he made it into the top 500. Master, I have to go out on a mission tomorrow. It might take 2 or 3 years before I return. Zhen Qin, sitting beside Guan, spoke while Guan's thoughts drifted away. The high-ranked medicinal herbs in the Mystic Heaven Cave Mansion should be ripening. 7 days after the Chinese New Year, Guan went to the Mystic Heaven Cave Mansion that night. After harvesting the ripened medicinal herbs and gaining nearly 20,000 years of lifespan, he began sowing seeds again. After years of management, the Mystic Heaven Cave Mansion was filled with medicinal herbs, all of at least 4th rank. They were now continuously providing him with lifespan. With the current medicine valleys alone, Guan saw the gate to a lifespan of millions of years approaching. He had already started pondering about breakthroughs. Reaching the Mahayana realm almost drained the spiritual energy of the North Sea Mountain, so the next breakthrough must be in a place with more spiritual energy. For the next breakthrough, Guan needed at least 5 million years worth of lifespan. He was eager to see what realm he could reach. After sowing, Guan sat at the stone table, poured himself some tea, and enjoyed his leisure time while spreading his divine sense to observe the North Sea Mountain's activities. The North Sea Mountain was an excellent training ground for cultivators. With the initiation of the Golden List Grand Assembly, the passage of various sex cultivators through the area had intensified the conflicts there. Guan suddenly noticed a battle, with one participant catching his attention. Sage Xian Miao from Three Pure Ones Mountain. This genius who outperformed LV Xian left a deep impression on Guan. At this moment, several dozen cultivators were besieging Sage Xian Miao. Under the night sky, the wind raged, and various spells fell endlessly, ravaging the land and forests. Sage Xian Miao held a sword in his right hand and a horsetail whisk in his left. Behind him, a Dharma aspect with 3 heads and 6 arms materialized. Despite being surrounded by several divinity transformation realm cultivators, he remained unfazed. This 3-headed, 6-armed Dharma aspect contained spiritual power, far exceeding that of Sage Xian Miao, and its 6 arms could cast different spells. An impressive divine skill. Guan sipped his tea while appreciating the battle. Those dozens of cultivators were no match for Sage Xian Miao, but a void-crossing realm great cultivator was lurking in the shadows, making Sage Xian Miao's situation dire. Guan had no intention of intervening, as he had no interest in others' grudges and feuds. Even if Sage Xian Miao died there, it would only show that his chi fortune was insufficient. Guan saved only those connected to him. 30 minutes later, the hidden void-crossing realm great cultivator made a move, launching a sneak attack that shattered Sage Xian Miao's Dharma aspect, causing him to vomit blood and be flung into the forest. Seeing this, the injured divinity transformation realm cultivators heaved sighs of relief, and then praised the void-crossing realm great cultivator. Just as Guan thought Sage Xian Miao was doomed, he sensed something and raised an eyebrow. In the forest where Sage Xian Miao had fallen, A strong wind arose, uprooting trees and sending them into the night sky. Sage Xianmiao sat in the ruins, surrounded by azure runes. These runes emitted beams of azure light, which gathered above him to form a grand door. The door slowly opened, releasing a desolate aura that caused the void-crossing realm great cultivator's face to change drastically as he turned to flee. "Where are you running?" An ancient voice echoed across the heavens and earth. Chapter 131. Can Sword Venerable Fudao withstand Mahayana power? Along with the mysterious voice echoing between heaven and earth, the azure door boomed open, and a giant hand stretched out, grabbing the escaping great cultivator of the void-crossing realm from a distance. The great cultivator of the void-crossing realm was almost scared to death. He struggled desperately but could not break free. He even tried to let his primordial spirit emerge from his body, but found in despair that his primordial spirit couldn't leave. "You, who are you?" The great cultivator of the void-crossing realm shouted in fear. The mysterious giant hand suddenly squeezed, crushing him into a mist of blood. His primordial spirit and golden core were completely annihilated, no longer existing. The other cultivators in the divinity transformation realm fled in panic, but the mysterious giant hand did not strike again, and just slowly withdrew into the azure door. Under the night sky, the wind was still raging. Sage Xianmiao's aura began to dissipate, and the azure door above his head vanished along with it. Puffed! Sage Xianmiao spat out a mouthful of reverse blood, and his entire state rapidly became lethargic. He continued to cultivate energy to regulate his breath. Far away in the mystic heaven cave mansion, Guan played with his teacup, his face showing a look of curiosity. The mysterious giant hand just now was definitely of the mystic heart realm, and above the fifth layer. No wonder Sage Xianmiao dared to come alone to the Golden List conference. He had a method to summon help. Guan was very interested in this divine skill. This divine skill was not only imposing but also protected the younger generation. Even he, this sword Venerable Fudao, was tempted. At the same time, he was also full of curiosity about the Three Pure Ones Mountain. The Three Pure Ones Mountain actually hid a great power above the fifth layer of the mystic heart realm. Although it was not in the Mahayana realm, it was enough to surprise Guan. The land of the 9 dynasties certainly hid countless talents. No wonder the ephemera sect previously only dared to wreak havoc in the Taicang dynasty instead of sweeping across the 9 dynasties directly. Guan heard from Yilan that the disciple count of the Three Pure Ones Mountain was not high, barely over 1,000 people. Yet such a small number was enough to make it the first sect of the Chentang dynasty, which showed how many great cultivators were in the Three Pure Ones Mountain. The Chentang dynasty was also not simple. The dynasty was named Chentang because the previous Tiantang dynasty once nearly unified the land of the 9 dynasties. Later, the emperor committed deeds that enraged both heaven and humans, causing heaven to send down a great rain that flooded the entire dynasty, leading to a power shift within the dynasty. The Chentang dynasty had the most lakes, and the majority of its cities and sects were on islands. Although the great rain drowned an entire dynasty, it also caused the spiritual energy of the Chentang dynasty to surge, being shrouded in spirit mist all year round. Among the 9 dynasties, the Chentang dynasty was the most mysterious and had the most legends. Many people believed that immortals were hidden among the islands of the Chentang dynasty. Guan retracted his gaze. Although he was very interested in Sage Xianmiao's divine skill, he was too lazy to make acquaintances or stir up trouble. Only being superior to the opponent by one major realm prevented Guan from being complacent. Be cautious in development, don't be reckless. 1,000 years later, how many levels above the 9 dynasties would he be? He was looking forward to it. Dark clouds covered the sky. On the ground, mountains undulated, and each piece of forest seemed like a gathering of demons and ghosts. A gigantic palace nestled between 2 mountains, with red pillars and bloody eaves, appeared so terrifying. Inside the grand hall, a group of black-robed individuals knelt on the ground. Some were humans, some demons, and some soul bodies. The man kneeling at the front wore a mask, making it impossible to see his true face. He said, "Sect Hierarch, the combined forces of the 9 dynasties have entered the 9 Nether Road, affecting our grand plan. Should we retreat, or continue to lie low? His voice was hoarse, and as he spoke, ghostly air exuded from under his mask. On the steps in front of him stood a burly figure draped in a large black robe, with a blood dragon coiled on the robe, baring its fangs and claws, as if ready to leap out at any moment. His white hair gently swayed, and he wore a crown of bones, with two slender, extremely sharp horns that glinted coldly atop it. He was the sect hierarch of the main lineage of the Ephemera sect, named Butcher Immortal Jing. Butcher Immortal Jing slowly turned around, revealing a pale and indifferent face. His pupils were blood-red, and there were two evil ghosts marked on his forehead. The two evil ghosts shared one body, which was pitch black and had sharp claws, making people shiver. The 9 dynasties laughable. They actually dare to step into the 9 Nether Road. They are courting death. Butcher Immortal Jing said coldly, a gust of cold wind blowing into the hall, causing the robes of all the followers to flutter. A black-robed follower with a white tiger head spoke. Each of the 9 dynasties has great cultivators in the mystic heart realm, and the supreme sect's sword Venerable Fudao is even more unfathomable. It's unlikely we can annex the 9 dynasties before the demon catastrophe. Another soul body in black robes followed up. Our sect's golden spirit Venerable and night cultivator Fairy both died at the hands of sword Venerable Fudao. He is the biggest obstacle to our annexation of the 9 dynasties. His cultivation is at least above the 5th layer of the mystic heart realm, and it's very likely he has reached the 8th floor. Rumble. The deep sound of thunder came from outside the hall, as if some fierce beast was roaring. Humph, mystic heart realm 8th floor? Then tell me, can sword Venerable Fudao withstand the Mahayana power? Butcher Immortal Jing said contemptuously, his white hair fluttering, and the bloodlight in his eyes flashed fiercely. Mahayana power. The masked man at the front responded. There has been no Mahayana heavenly tribulation in the land of the 9 dynasties for nearly 10,000 years. Naturally, he is not your opponent. But if you take action, will it affect your healing? Who asked you all to be so incompetent? Prepare to gather the followers. Once they are assembled, follow me to sweep across the land of the 9 dynasties, and remember to bring the origin tree of ephemera. Butcher Immortal Jing said expressionlessly. These words caused an uproar in the hall. Sect hierarch, you wouldn't intend to directly. The masked man's hoarse voice revealed a nervous emotion. My decision is made, you may leave. Butcher Immortal Jing waved his sleeve and walked into the darkness. The followers of the ephemera sect in the hall looked at each other. It was another night. Guan once again arrived at the Mystic Heaven Cave Mansion. It had already been half a month since his last visit. He first picked medicinal herbs, then planted seeds. After doing all this as usual, he didn't leave in a hurry but planned to stay alone here for half the night, enjoying the tranquility. He walked to the old tree next to the wooden house, and jumped onto the hammock he wove half a month ago. He twisted his body and chose a comfortable position to lie down. Comfortable. Guan revealed a satisfied smile, took out a travelogue and started browsing. Recently he had gone to the inner sect and bought many travelogues, 1 to pass the time, and 2 to see if there were any places better suited for breakthroughs than the North Sea Mountain. The cave mansion was quiet, and from time to time, fish sprang out of the underground lake, with their movements echoing in the cave mansion, creating a unique atmosphere. He read until the latter half of the night before putting the travelogue down, and spreading out his divine sense to see if there was any movement in the North Sea Mountain tonight. Every time he came, he would overlook the North Sea Mountain, which had become a habit. Soon, Guan was attracted by Sage Xianmiao. This guy still hadn't left. He saw Sage Xianmiao building a simple monastery in a deep mountain, inside which, besides Sage Xianmiao, there was also a young boy. What was he doing? Guan looked carefully and saw Sage Xianmiao meditating in front of a large cauldron, with wisps of green smoke rising from the top of his head. And that boy was practicing in the nearby hut. The boy was actually a demon, with a fox tail growing. Interesting. Guan watched for a while, and then retracted his gaze. When dawn was about to break, Guan returned to Mystic Valley. In the blink of an eye, half a year quickly passed. At the end of summer, after a heavy rain, Mystic Valley was very muggy. On this morning, Leah came to visit Guan, once again entering through the window. Guan had to cooperate with him to pretend to be startled. Look at your timid look. You are at least in the top 500 on the golden list. Liya snorted softly after landing. Guan got up to greet him and said, my being in the top 500 was just luck. You could have made it into the top 10, but unfortunately, you met in how in advance. Upon hearing this, Li Ya's mouth twitched. He suspected Guan was deliberately pricking him, but seeing Guan's expression of regret, it was hard to retort. Little did he know, Guan did it on purpose. He stepped on my windowsill again. Liya walked to the desk, pulled out a chair, and sat down. He said, I am leaving. Where to? How long? Guan asked casually, then walked to the tea set and started brewing tea. Liya replied, Father Emperor wants me to go to 3 Pure Ones Mountain in the Taicang Dynasty for training. It will probably take decades to return. Again, the 3 Pure Ones Mountain. What kind of close relationship did Li Xiandao have with 3 Pure Ones Mountain? They even sent 2 people. Guan couldn't help but say, then it's definitely worth going. After all, the disciple of the 3 Pure Ones Mountain earned the 2nd place on the golden list. Sage Xianmiao is indeed formidable. Even if I fought him, I might not be his match. Liya agreed. In the golden list conference, Sage Xianmiao was the only one who could withstand a 30-minute fight against An Hao. Guan came to the desk with the brewed tea and said, when you go to 3 Pure Ones Mountain, you must practice diligently. Don't meddle in too many affairs and end up injured. Cough cough. Apart from being injured by An Hao, I really haven't been injured over the years. Really? Would I lie to you? The two began to chat casually, sometimes talking about Mystic Valley, sometimes about the golden list. It wasn't until noon that Liya stood up and said, I should be leaving. Junior brother Gu, I hope that when I come back, your cultivation will improve. Entering the top 500 on the golden list is not just luck. I believe you already have your own opportunities, but don't waste the years and strive to catch up with senior brother me as soon as possible. After saying that, Liya quickly walked to the window, jumped out, and left another footprint on the windowsill. Definitely on purpose. Guan was helpless. Liya usually seemed very serious. Why did he always play childish tricks on him? He looked out the window, his eyes becoming profound. Li Xiandao sending Liya away at this time. Could there be other reasons? And the soul body within Liya, why had it become so weak? It seemed like it could dissipate at any moment. Guan shook his head, unable to figure it out. He decided not to bother thinking about it. Until nightfall. Guan once again arrived at the Mystic Heaven Cave Mansion. As he was about to pick medicinal herbs, he couldn't help but frown. Why was Sage Xianmiao around? The monastery of Sage Xianmiao was 8,000 miles away from here. Coming here could not be a coincidence. At the same time, in the forest 10 miles away, Sage Xianmiao held a compass in his hand, advancing while muttering to himself. It should be around here. I don't know what kind of blessing it is. Chapter 132 Mountain God. Ill-fated relationship. Guan heard Sage Xianmiao's muttering, which left him silent. Did he come seeking fortune and find my home? His gaze fell on the compass in Sage Xianmiao's hand, curious about what kind of treasure could locate fortune, far surpassing his white spirit rat. Since the appearance of the mystic pure tree, the white spirit rat had been napping all day, no longer venturing out to search for treasures, essentially becoming useless. The forest in the deep night was eerie and quiet, with a faint mist swirling among the woods. Although Sage Xianmiao could see the shadows of ghosts drifting by, he remained unmoved. Whoosh! A gust of wind blew from the front, causing Sage Xianmiao's robes to flutter, making him squint. The land of the mountain god. Mortals are forbidden to enter. A mysterious and ethereal voice emerged, causing Sage Xianmiao to halt his steps. He looked around, unable to detect the speaker's presence, not even with his divine sense. Sage Xianmiao was certain he hadn't misheard, so he cupped his hands and said, This humble Taoist hails from 3 Pure Ones Mountain of the Taicang Dynasty, a sole disciple of the Taicang lineage, Li Xuanmiao. Li Xuanmiao, Li Xiandao. Guan wouldn't believe they were unrelated even if beaten to death. The name 3 Pure Ones, also made Guan think of the three pure ones in Wuxia's Taoist myths from his previous life, wondering if there was any connection. It should be unrelated, otherwise writing investiture of the gods would have already caused trouble. Perhaps the Tao of the three pure ones illuminates myriad heavens, showing signs of three pure ones in both this world and the Wuxia world? Guan's thoughts raced, not answering immediately. Sage Xianmiao continued. This humble Taoist seeks fortune, wondering if I might have the honor of meeting the mountain god? He didn't seem to doubt Guan's words, making Guan ponder. Could mountain gods truly exist, making Sage Xianmiao find it unsurprising? This made Guan suddenly want to get to know Sage Xianmiao, to increase his understanding of this world. Why seek the mountain god? Guan's voice echoed again, its source still elusive. Sage Xianmiao replied. Mortal immortals and gods are elusive. If I could meet one, it would be life's fortune. Of course, this humble Taoist also has a personal desire. Meeting the mountain god pleased him greatly, more meaningful than finding a treasure. With his cultivation at the divinity transformation stage, he scanned all directions, unable to find the other party, indicating their cultivation level was vastly superior. Whether or not they were a mountain god, the fact that the other party didn't attack him directly suggested they weren't a great evildoer. Whether a mountain god or not, they were worth befriending. Whoosh! A gust of wind blew in his face, stirring up fallen leaves, forcing Sage Xianmiao to raise his hand to shield himself. When the wind passed, Sage Xianmiao looked ahead, his pupils suddenly narrowing, face full of astonishment. Following his gaze, there stood a small white-clad figure on a large tree in front. That's right. A small figure. Only 3 inches high, easily held with one hand. This figure wore white clothes and a theatrical mask, looking extremely mysterious. This white-clad figure was Guan, who used the Great and Minor Rui divine power to shrink himself. Great and Minor Rui was a divine power awakened through the primordial Rui skill. His energy concealing skill evolved from the energy nurturing skill. Sage Xianmiao immediately knelt on one knee, raising his hand in salute, saying, Li Xuanmiao pays respects to the mountain god. He could feel this wasn't an illusion. It was his first time seeing such a small person, making him instantly believe the other was a mountain god. After all, he had never seen either spell or divine power that could shrink a person, only spells that drew people into small spaces. Guan leaped on the branches, reaching the branch's end to overlook Sage Xianmiao, asking, What is the treasure in your hand? He cast a lifespan detection. Sage Xianmiao, Divinity Transformation Stage 5th Level 198/900/4500, 4,500 years as his maximum lifespan? A bit inconsistent with his performance. The legacy of 3 Pure Ones Mountain seemed strong. Sage Xianmiao hurriedly replied. This is a treasured family heirloom of my 3 Pure Ones Mountain passed down through generations. As long as I carry it, once my chi fortune connects with the treasure, it will guide me to my destined fortune, accelerating my growth process. As he said this, he smiled. Destiny led him to meet the mountain god. Guan wondered if Mystic Heaven Cave Mansion rightfully belonged to Sage Xianmiao. Very likely so. If not for his golden finger akin to a system, he wouldn't have come to the North Sea Mountains to undergo tribulation, nor would he have cracked open Mystic Heaven Cave Mansion. Thus, it wouldn't naturally belong to him. Thinking this way, it seemed Guan had taken Sage Xianmiao's opportunity. Sage Xianmiao continued, Senior Mountain God, I just accepted a disciple, but he is poisoned. I can't cure him. Could you take a look? He was initially seeking fortune but hadn't expected to encounter a mountain god. Since gods existed, they should help alleviate his worries. Guan remained silent, left hand touching his chin, right hand holding his left elbow, swaying contemplatively as he looked at Sage Xianmiao. Sage Xianmiao understood, his right hand flipping to reveal a lingji in his palm, which he offered with both hands, saying, This is a 6th grade earth spirit lingji, hoping the mountain god likes it. Guan lifted a hand to capture the lingji in his grasp. This earth spirit lingji was larger than his entire body, making him look quite comical as he held it. Sage Xianmiao didn't find it amusing, rather he found it endearing. The behavior and thoughts of immortals and gods shouldn't be speculated or defined by mortals. Bring your disciple here at this time tomorrow night, Guan said. Sage Xianmiao immediately expressed his gratitude. When he raised his hand again, Guan had already vanished. He smiled, getting up to leave without pressing forward, which made Guan feel satisfied. At the very least, Sage Xianmiao didn't seem like a deeply scheming or overly calculative person. When Guan had previously inspected Sage Xianmiao, he had seen his demonic disciple and identified the type of poison in him. Fortunately, he could cure it. Once Sage Xianmiao was far away, Guan returned to the 8 scenic caves to begin alchemy. He took out the ephemeral flower he had kept for a long time, placed it into the pill furnace, and then conjured Taicang true fire to ignite the dry firewood under the furnace. Suddenly, a thought struck him. Could the alchemy technique of Mystic Valley also be derived from 3 Pure Ones Mountain, capable of producing Taicang true fire? Quite possible. The next night, Sage Xianmiao brought his disciple to the same misty forest. The fox demon boy was very nervous, clinging to Sage Xianmiao, eyes constantly scanning the surroundings, fearing evil spirits would appear. Sage Xianmiao raised his robe hem and knelt, making the fox demon boy kneel as well. After kneeling for a while, a gust of wind blew. A thumb-sized pill rolled to Sage Xianmiao's knees. He couldn't help but pick it up. Let your disciple take it. Guan's voice floated by, and Sage Xianmiao, without hesitation, had the fox demon boy swallow it. The pill melted instantly in the mouth. Sage Xianmiao held the fox demon boy's wrist to carefully sense, soon showing a delighted expression. He looked up and asked, "May I ask, Mountain God, what poison afflicted my disciple?" "The poison of the ephemeral flower." He must have visited the ephemeral flower's habitat and inadvertently ingested it. Guan replied from a tree branch. The fox demon boy stared wide-eyed at the tiny mountain god. Upon hearing this, Sage Xianmiao's face darkened, gritting his teeth. The ephemera sect has brought harm for millennia, its sins unforgivable. Guan squatted on the branch, observing them, and said, "Your disciple is saved. You should leave now. Remember, do not reveal my existence to anyone, or I will come for you." Sage Xianmiao raised his head, saying, "Mountain God, could you teach me the ultimate skill to become the world's strongest? I am willing to exchange everything I have." Being defeated by An Hao had become his deep-seated issue. It was also why he hadn't returned, unable to face his peers. World's strongest. If you could become the world's strongest, you wouldn't seek me. Since you can't become the world's strongest, your everything couldn't match its value. Guan said indifferently. Sage Xianmiao looked troubled, but hope ignited in his heart. The mountain god hadn't refused him. He had only intended to probe, not expecting a real chance. Indeed, no disciple of 3 Pure Ones Mountain had ever encountered a land immortal. It showed how rare immortals and gods were. Sage Xianmiao said earnestly, "Please enlighten me, mountain god. As long as it's within my power and doesn't violate the principles of 3 Pure Ones Mountain, I will definitely comply." Guan feigned deep contemplation, arms crossed, and after a while he suddenly said, "I have it. The divine skill you used to summon Mystic Heart Realm cultivators before, exchange it with me." Sage Xianmiao's face changed dramatically. His respect for the mountain god deepened. The mountain god could discern even his backer's realm, demonstrating the mountain god's high Dao level. And the battle had taken place far from here. Sage Xianmiao hurriedly said, "This divine skill is called Divine Reaching Mystic Gate. It can only summon others and won't harm beings. I'm willing to exchange it with you, mountain god." As he spoke, he took out a scroll from his sleeve, raising it with both hands. Guan lifted a hand, capturing the scroll. After a brief scan with his divine sense, confirming its authenticity, he waved his right hand. A book swiftly landed before Sage Xianmiao. The 9 Extremes Yin-Yang Body. Sage Xianmiao's eyes lit up on seeing those 5 words. Guan would eventually cultivate the 9 Extremes Yin-Yang Body, so he didn't mind teaching it. Moreover, this technique originated from the Thousand Autumn Pavilion. He wanted to see how many years it would take Sage Xianmiao, with his talent, to master the 9 Extremes Yin-Yang Body. Sage Xianmiao picked up the secret book, began reading, while Guan wasn't in a hurry. putting away the divine-reaching mystic gate scroll into his storage bag. After reading for a while, Sage Xianmiao's hands trembled. He suddenly closed the book, tucked it away, and then took out wooden boxes from his storage ring, a total of 7. He said, "This ultimate skill is stronger than divine-reaching mystic gate. I can't take advantage of you. These are seeds of 7th grade heavenly materials and earthly treasures, gifts from various dynasties to me. I intended to use them to enhance my cave, but now I offer them to you. Consider it." Gu An's impression of Sage Xianmiao improved. He lifted a hand, the 7 wooden boxes adhering to the tree trunk beside him, saying, "You may leave now." Sage Xianmiao immediately kowtowed, making the fox demon boy kowtow as well, and then led him away without lingering. Guan watched their departing figures, silently lamenting, "What a fateful encounter." He wasn't referring to his and Sage Xianmiao's, but rather Sage Xianmiao's and the fox demon boys. He couldn't resist casting another lifespan detection. Underworld Fox Demon, Energy Cultivation Realm 4th Layer 14/999/14000. This maximum lifespan was identical to the Underworld Demon Emperor's, and both carried the name, Underworld, implying a definite connection. Guan even suspected this boy might be the Underworld Demon Emperor. Chapter 133. Becoming the sect leader of the Supreme Sect. The weather was cool and refreshing, and the early autumn breeze uplifted one's mood. The Third Medicine Valley. Guan was picking medicinal herbs, while Lu Lingjun followed closely, holding a bamboo basket to receive the herbs he had bundled. "I see that you don't usually do anything significant. Why do you need my protection?" Lu Lingjun asked plaintively. An inner sect elder protecting an outer disciple? If word got out, it would bring shame to the inner sect elders of the Supreme Sect. "I usually don't trouble you much either. You enjoy the benefits of an inner sect elder, and can cultivate under the mystic pure tree. Many elders envy you," Guan said carelessly, unable to suppress a smile at the corner of his mouth. Currently, they were harvesting 6th grade medicinal herbs, each of which could bring 60 to 100 years of lifespan. It's indeed satisfying to plant and harvest herbs. Killing a cultivator in the unification realm would most likely only yield a similar lifespan, but would involve grudges. Hearing Gu An's words, Lu Lingjun found them reasonable, but she still felt that her task was beneath her status, showing that LV Baitian did not respect her. Lu Lingjun had already set a new goal in her heart. That was to become the Supreme Sect leader. Since LV Baitian had bound her and Guan together, she had to establish a better relationship with Guan. Guan had many advantages, and the high-rank medicinal herbs from this valley were enough to give him considerable influence. In the future, she would protect Guan, then use his herbs to attract people, establishing a power group centered around them both, and gradually work towards her goal. Thinking of this, Lu Lingjun suddenly smiled like a blooming flower. Guan happened to catch this scene, and goosebumps immediately rose all over his body. "What kind of expression is that? Are you scheming against me?" Guan asked warily. Lu Lingjun, with a gleeful expression, said, "How could I be scheming against you? You are my valley master. Without you bridging connections, could I have today's treatment?" Cough cough. "Now I don't even limit your cultivation time under the tree. The current benefits are much better, aren't they? After all, there are few 7th grade treasure trees in the Supreme Sect." Guan gave a fake cough and continued picking herbs after speaking. Yes, you're right. Anyway, I owe you a favor, and I'll return it in the future." "That's more like it." Lu Lingjun didn't disturb Gu An's work anymore. After the time of 1 incense stick 30 minutes, the two returned. Along the way, Lu Lingjun asked, "Valley Master, do you want to improve your cultivation level? You can make it to the golden list, which shows that your aptitude is not bad. It's just that you don't usually like to cultivate." The higher Gu An's cultivation level, the more beneficial it would be for her grand plan. "Even if it's not bad, I am definitely not a genius. I made it to the list relying on magic artifacts. Don't try to persuade me. Strenuous cultivation, even if it allows me to live for 700 or 800 years, still takes up most of my life's time on cultivation. Why not just enjoy life directly? Not cultivating is about avoiding detours. My talents are not as great as yours. Guan argued confidently, though for some reason, Lu Lingjun felt a trace of sadness. As an ascender, she had indeed seen many who spent their entire lives but could not escape destiny. How many people had cultivated arduously all their lives, only to die in tribulation, in feuds, or from inner demons? Even for herself, recalling carefully, did she have as many happy moments in her life as the person before her? At this moment, Guan's image in Lu Lingjun's mind shifted. Although Guan had a low cultivation level, he had a kind of broad-mindedness and life perspective that was beyond the grasp of ordinary people. Lu Lingjun caught up with Guan's steps and asked, "Valley Master, do you think I should learn from you?" "Learn from me? What a joke. Your realm has already proven your talent. In this world, life is about striving. Since my aptitude isn't good, I strive for the depth of life. With your outstanding talent, you should pursue the length of life." Guan said casually. He wouldn't let others follow his path, as he could seize lifespan but others couldn't. His statement was just to hide his true strength, not to guide others. After hearing this, Lu Lingjun admired Guan even more. The two continued chatting while heading to the pavilion area. It wasn't until the evening that Guan arrived at the Mystic Heaven Cave Mansion. Half a month had passed since he exchanged divine skills with Sage Xianmiao. Guan planted the 7 7th-grade treasures from Sage Xianmiao in the Mystic Heaven Cave Mansion. He wasn't afraid of this cave mansion being exposed. Even if it was, he could move it. He could use the Great and Minor Rui to shrink the entire mountain, and then move it. Because these 7 seeds were of high grade, he would visit every other day, afraid that they might grow askew or conflict with each other. After careful inspection, making sure there were no problems, Guan smiled. Currently, he was harvesting lifespan all year round, so traveling back and forth wasn't tiring for him but full of interest. When the next breakthrough came, he planned to open another cave mansion in a different place, get some people to help him manage the new mansion, while he focused on harvesting. The people managing the cave mansion needed to be able to endure loneliness. But that was a matter for the future. He walked to the wooden house, took out the Ziwei Array Chronicles and a pile of formation materials, and began trying to set up formations. The new cave mansion would definitely need many sets of formations. He had to prepare in advance. Meanwhile, thousands of miles away, in a hidden temple in the mountains and forests, Sage Xianmiao sat in front of a pill furnace, cultivating the 9 extremes yin-yang body. His hands constantly changed spell patterns, dark green demonic qi emanating from his body, surrounding him. Knock knock. The door was lightly knocked. Sage Xianmiao didn't open his eyes and said, "Come in." As the words fell, the door was pushed open, and a young fox demon walked in. He knelt in front of Sage Xianmiao and said softly, "Master, I just had a nightmare." "What kind of nightmare?" "I dreamt that the sky broke open, countless demons and cultivators rushed out, slaughtering all living beings on the ground. I also saw a huge and terrifying tree with a face on it." The young fox demon replied. As he spoke, he couldn't help but tremble, unsure if it was out of fear or from the cold wind blowing in from outside. Sage Xianmiao opened his eyes, the surrounding demonic qi dissipated. He took out a compass and began to cast a spell to deduce. The young fox demon watched intently, very curious about the compass in his master's hand. The compass emitted light, small starlights rising. Sage Xianmiao raised another hand and pointed at the young fox demon's forehead. The young fox demon was immediately immobilized, his eyes wide open, glancing upward. Sage Xianmiao's finger drew out strands of light from the fox demon's forehead, then channeled them into the starlight on the compass. Boom! A wave of energy burst from the compass, followed by the starlights exploding, forming a scene, exactly the dream the young fox demon had described. In the vision, the sky was continuously torn apart, black cracks spread over the forest, countless demons and black-robed cultivators rushed out, sweeping everything in the forest. Wherever they went, black mist spread, all life withered, and living spirits turned into white bones. Such horrifying scenes made Sage Xianmiao frown. After watching for a while, his expression changed because he saw the North Sea. The young fox demon also looked equally frightened. Even though it was his own dream, he didn't want to recall it. After a long time, Sage Xianmiao put away the compass, walked out of the temple, came to the courtyard, and took out a piece of yellow paper, quickly writing lines of characters on it. After finishing, he folded it and burned it with his own spiritual fire. The yellow paper turned to ashes, the ashes shimmering with a faint light before quickly disappearing. The young fox demon asked from behind, "Master, what are you doing?" "I am sending a message to the sect." "Is it the Three Pure Ones mountain you often mentioned?" "That's right." "Master, when can you take me to the Three Pure Ones mountain?" "Cultivate well. Outer disciples entering the Three Pure Ones mountain need to undergo numerous tests. Your cultivation level and temperament are not enough yet." Sage Xianmiao answered casually. After thinking for a while, he gave the young fox demon a reminder, then left the temple. Moonlight filtered through the tree branches, illuminating the young fox demon. He watched the direction Sage Xianmiao left, his previously innocent face gradually becoming stern, eyes gleaming with cold light. Mountain God. In the Mystic Heaven Cave Mansion, Guan put down his brush and talisman paper, his expression serious. Underworld Fox Demon has developed hostility towards you and is apprehensive of your strength. Do you want to cast lifespan detection on them? Apprehensive? What level of hostility does this constitute? Should I kill them? Thinking of the Underworld Fox Demon's maximum lifespan of 14,000 years made him uneasy. Although demons have a much longer maximum lifespan compared to humans of the same realm, anyone who lives beyond 10,000 years is a formidable great demon. Guan looked up, using his divine sense to see Sage Xianmiao approaching him. Better to meet Sage Xianmiao first. After the time of one incense stick, Sage Xianmiao arrived in the forest. He knelt on the ground and called out loudly, "Pindao has matters to seek audience with the mountain god." As the words fell, the mountain god appeared out of nowhere on a branch not far away, without any indication, making Sage Xianmiao secretly admire the mountain god's vast divine skills. Before Guan could speak, Sage Xianmiao took out the compass, casting spells and explaining his disciple's dream. Once the compass reenacted the dream, Sage Xianmiao continued, "The North Sea appeared in the dream, which might signify a calamity for the North Sea." Guan silently thought it was troublesome. It's again the ephemera sect. The tree in the dream was the ephemera tree, indicating that the ephemera sect main lineage was preparing to launch a full-scale attack on the Nine Dynasties region. How many ephemera trees are there? Guan felt an urge to eradicate the ephemera sect completely to avoid them disrupting his farming. However, before that, Guan planned to give the Underworld Fox Demon a bit of trouble. Your disciple is not simple. Whether it is a blessing or a curse, it is hard to say, Guan said leisurely. Upon hearing this, Sage Xianmiao's expression changed dramatically. It seemed he remembered something, and cold sweat began to form on his forehead. This reaction surprised Guan. Does my word carry that much weight? Sage Xianmiao remembered what his master had said to him. Xianmiao, you will face 9 tribulations in your life. Each tribulation is a life or death situation, stemming from your interactions with the secular world. You can't avoid them. You can't escape them. Surviving the tribulations will lead to nirvana. He looked at Guan again, his eyes filled with respect. As expected of the mountain god, capable of seeing through fate and cause and effect. He took a deep breath, stood up slowly, and then bowed to Guan, saying, "Thank you for the mountain god's guidance. I will be cautious." After speaking, he turned and left. Guan tilted his head, showing a confused expression under his opera mask. Chapter 134, 9 Nether Domain, Chaos in the World. After returning to the Mystic Heaven Cave Mansion, Guan lost interest in practicing formations. He began watching the scene, with his divine sense following Sage Xianmiao. When Sage Xianmiao returned to the Taoist temple, he indeed clashed with the Underworld Fox Demon. The night sky timely poured down with heavy rain, causing the world to become noisy. In the rainy night, Sage Xian Miao held a treasure sword, questioning the underworld fox demon about its origins. The underworld fox demon was terrified and said he had been injured previously, forgetting his origins, and would have died under the claws of a demon if not for his master's rescue. Under the rainy night, the master and disciple had an intense conflict. After arguing for a while, Sage Xian Miao, muttering about breaking the tribulation, acted as if possessed and raised his sword to cut down the underworld fox demon. The underworld fox demon, frightened, fled in panic, pleading for mercy, but it did not awaken any pity in Sage Xian Miao. From Sage Xian Miao, Guan sensed a trace of demonic qi. He could not tell if this guy was inherently demonic, or if it was the result of practicing the 9 extremes yin-yang body. Eventually, the underworld fox demon could no longer act and burst forth with a powerful demonic aura, simultaneously beginning to frantically absorb nature's spiritual energy, quickly coalescing into a terrifying demon shadow, invoking the impression of some summoning spell. The aura of that terrifying demon shadow rivaled the 9th layer of the void-crossing realm. Guan guessed that it was the underworld demon emperor. Sage Xian Miao, at the divinity transformation realm, was no match for this demon shadow. At a critical moment, he once again cast the divine reaching mystic gate, summoning a great cultivator from the mystic heart realm. The mystic heart realm great cultivator immediately shattered the demon shadow with a squeeze, and the underworld fox demon took the opportunity to escape. At the crucial moment, Sage Xian Miao still relented, and allowed the mystic heart realm great cultivator to spare the underworld fox demon's life. After the divine reaching mystic gate dissipated, Sage Xian Miao collapsed again, beginning to cough blood madly. It seemed the cost of casting the divine reaching mystic gate was very high. What a vivid and thrilling conflict scene. Guan's heart was filled with emotion, feeling as though he was reading a novel. The underworld fox demon harbors malice toward you, hating you to the bone. Do you wish to perform a lifespan detection on it? Here it came. Time to work. Guan got up, stretching his muscles and bones. In the mountain forest, the underworld fox demon hastily fled, looking extremely disheveled under the torrential rain. After escaping for an unknown amount of time, he stopped under a large tree, pressing against a wound on his waist. The rainwater soaked his long hair, and his face twisted with a grim expression. Mountain God, damn it, I was so close to succeeding. The underworld fox demon muttered to himself, eyes full of killing intent. He did not believe in any mountain god. He suspected that person to be some sort of evil spirit. Regardless, whoever dared to ruin his plan to enter the 3 Pure Ones mountain would face his revenge. Are you talking about me? A voice suddenly sounded in the underworld fox demon's ear, startling him. He reflexively turned his head, only to see a little figure in white with an opera mask standing on his shoulder. Before he had a chance to react, a terrifying divine sense surged into his soul. Oh, so you're here. When Guan's divine sense invaded the underworld fox demon's body, he discovered another primordial spirit hidden deep within the underworld fox demon's soul. The underworld demon emperor. This guy was pretty impressive, able to escape the notice of a Mahayana cultivator. But unfortunately, he should not have harbored dark intentions. Guan began to perform the soul-capturing skill to extract the underworld demon emperor's memories. The memories of the underworld demon emperor were too vast. Finding it bothersome, Guan only extracted the past 100 years of memories. After a quick soul search, he finally understood the origins of the underworld demon emperor. The underworld demon emperor came from the 9 Nether Road, a demon who had been hunted by the Ephemera sect for years. 200 years ago, he took advantage of the Ephemera sect opening the 9 Nether Road to escape to the 9 Dynasty land. For 200 years he wandered the world, visiting many sections. Among all, he believed the 3 Pure Ones mountain to be the most formidable, with its profound Taoist sorcery and a history spanning over 10,000 years, making it the oldest sect in the 9 Dynasty land. He attempted to infiltrate it, but was discovered just as he stepped foot into the mountain gate, and nearly perished, which led him to hold a grudge against the 3 Pure Ones mountain. The underworld fox demon was a small fox possessed by the underworld demon emperor, its original soul erased. The possession technique he used was unique and hard to detect. He manifested the scene of the ephemera sect's attack to force Sage Xianmiao to return to the Three Pure Ones mountain, avoiding lingering in the North Sea mountain. Unexpectedly, after learning about this, Sage Xianmiao went to find the mountain god. This made the underworld demon emperor hostile toward the mountain god. After Sage Xianmiao returned to confront him, and after a series of battles, his hostility turned into killing intent. The whole event felt somewhat serendipitous, but since the underworld demon emperor developed killing intent toward Guan could not let him live. An hour later, Guan retracted his divine sense, then used Taicang True Fire to incinerate the underworld fox demon, burning him to ashes and scattering his soul, successfully gaining 93 years of lifespan. He then returned to the Supreme Sect. Back in the Mystic Valley Pavilion, Guan sat at his desk and took out pen and paper. He first wrote 3 large characters. Nine Nether Domain. Through the underworld demon emperor's memories, Guan learned that the Nine Nether Road was an independent world called the Nine Nether Domain. Within the Nine Nether Domain existed demon clans, demon tribes and ghostly spirits, constantly oppressed by the ephemera sect. He planned to write the Nine Nether Domain into an encyclopedia, and later hand it over to the Supreme Sect in another way, making it easier for the Supreme Sect to explore. Autumn leaves covered the Mystic Valley, with over 20 servant disciples sweeping the fallen leaves. Guan descended the stairs, happening to see several Supreme Sect disciples flying swiftly in the sky. He only glanced at them and then looked away, preparing to head to the Third Medicine Valley. Before reaching the transmission array platform, Guan sensed a presence, so he stopped and turned to look at the working servant disciples. 30 minutes later, Yilan flew into the Medicine Valley, pulling Guan upstairs for a conversation. After closing the door, Yilan said in a deep voice, "The Nine Nether Road is in crisis. The ephemera sect has arrived, and a great battle is imminent. Not only the Nine Nether Road, but the ephemera sect's demon cultivators have also appeared in various places. This time, the situation is completely different from before. The law enforcement hall must go out to protect the common people. I have to leave today." "So urgent?" Guan immediately took out a batch of healing pills and handed them to Yilan. Yilan did not refuse. Following this, she instructed, "During this period, be careful. According to our investigations, there are traitorous spies from the ephemera sect within the Supreme Sect. This time, we face the main lineage of the ephemera sect, and they might be going all out. This could be a once-in-millennium catastrophe." "I understand. Take care, and don't let go of your white spirit sword." Guan nodded and said. Hearing this, Yilan raised her white spirit sword and said with a smile, "Good." After providing some important information, she hurriedly left. Standing before the pavilion, Guan watched her leave and had already sensed battles erupting in the distance, and in more than one place. This time, the ephemera sect's offensive was far beyond previous ones, transitioning from defense to invasion. For the time being, Guan had no intention of intervening, letting the 9 dynasties hold them off to avoid alerting the enemy. His target was to deal with the Mahayana cultivator. Before that, Guan decided to find a place to break through. Mahayana versus Mahayana, confidence was needed. Guan's life had too few combat experiences. While the opponent was certainly a 1,000-year-old monster, he was not adept at life-and-death struggles. He was skilled at crushing enemies. He needed to find a suitable place. It could not be the North Sea Mountain anymore. The Mystic Heaven Cave Mansion was there, and he could not damage the spiritual ecosystem. After considering, Guan headed to the Third Medicine Valley, and then to the Inner Sect. With the Valley Master token from the Third Medicine Valley, he could freely enter the Inner Sect. An hour later, Guan stepped into the Inner Sect city. After several months, the atmosphere in the Inner Sect city was very tense, with cultivators hurrying to and fro. He heard disciples around discussing the ephemera sect's attack. The news had already been made public in the 4 major Inner Sect cities. From their discussions, Guan learned that not only was the Taicang dynasty attacked by the ephemera sect, but the other 8 dynasties were also under attack. It was said that more than half of the second batch of disciples sent to the Nine Nether Road had died or been injured, and even an elder had perished in the Nine Nether Road. The situation sounded urgent, and even Guan felt affected. He made his way to the book collection hall and ascended to the third floor, which housed various maps and records of different places. Because of the ephemera sex attack, there were few disciples in the book collection hall, and on the third floor, it was just Guan and one managing elder. For a long time, while Guan was flipping through books, an old voice asked, "Young friend, what are you looking for?" Guan turned to see the managing elder, Su Lu, walking over. He turned and saluted Su Lu, saying, "I want to see how vast this world is." This Su Lu appeared old and feeble, but actually possessed the cultivation level of the nascent soul realm. The minimum threshold for an inner sect elder was the nascent soul realm. Looking for the largest map? There's none here. Follow me, Su Lu said, gesturing for Guan to follow him. Guan was puzzled by Su Lu's actions, but followed him to see what would happen. "Earlier, you bought the Green Hero travelogue here, right?" Su Lu casually asked. Guan replied, "Yes, elder, what advice do you have?" It was because of the Green Hero travelogue that this happened," Su Lu said slowly. "Ever since a book called Supreme Secret Records spread among the people, few have come to buy the Green Hero travelogue. This made my friend very sad. Seeing that you still fancy the Green Hero travelogue, I will give you my treasured map of the continent. It was drawn by a supreme elder who traveled the world." Guan, hearing this, became interested and asked, "Elder, is Green Hero male or female?" "Of course a man. No woman would write that kind of book." "Is Green Hero still in the sect?" "No, only occasionally sending books back through others." Talking about this, they arrived at a door. Su Lu motioned for Guan to wait and entered the door. Before long, Su Lu returned with a large scroll and a book, handing them to Guan. "Take these back and make a copy. Next time you come, return them to me." Guan placed the scroll and book into his storage bag, and then thanked Su Lu. Su Lu reminded, "With your cultivation level, you can at most travel across the 9 dynasties. Don't form your nascent soul, nor go to the demon land. And don't head south into the sea." "I understand," Guan replied. Su Lu waved his hand, indicating that Guan could leave now. Guan immediately left. As he reached the stairs, he sensed a powerful divine sense sweeping over him. There's a mystic heart realm cultivator inside the building. Could it be a supreme elder reading here? Including Xian Quan, the supreme sect already had 2 mystic heart realm cultivators. This intensified Guan's resolve to break through. Damn that ephemera sect, enticing so many old monsters back. Chapter 135, Breakthrough to the 9 Layers of Nirvana Realm. Guan did not use divine sense to probe the Foundation Establishment Realm cultivators inside the book collection hall. Divine sense could not be used for lifespan detection, and using divine sense would be meaningless. If the other party practiced some kind of miracle skill and could detect higher-level spying, it would cause unnecessary trouble. Returning to the Mystic Valley, Guan went upstairs and took out the map scroll and the book given by Su Lu. The book was called The Chronicles of the World. It detailed the general situation of various places, and the information about all regions on the map could be found in this book. Guan carefully studied it, looking for a suitable place for a breakthrough. From the map, the 9 dynasties only occupied 1/10 of the continent. Outside was the land where demons roamed, various mountain ranges, and rivers with terrifying names, such as Demon Shadow Peak, Demon Bone Mountain Range, Human Head Ghost Forest, and Falling Immortal River. After much deliberation, Guan decided to go to the Demon Land for his breakthrough. The Demon Land was full of spiritual energy, and since ancient times, the Demon Land had no maritime dangers. This map was the best proof, as the Supreme Elder had traveled the entire continent. As night fell, Guan set off quietly and headed east, slightly north. Holding the map, Guan used the Limitless Freedom Step to traverse quickly through the night. Soon, he left the Taicang Dynasty. In less than 20 steps, Guan crossed the 9 dynasties' land and entered the Demon Land. He felt the increase of demon energy, demonic chi, and ghostly energy in the world. In his divine senses range, there were evil presences everywhere. Looking out, The mountains and valleys were shrouded in thick mist, and those towering mountains appeared like giant demons, looming and terrifying. Guan sensed the life force. Almost all were demons. Occasionally, he could catch a glimpse of cultivators who were hiding and had set up formations to conceal themselves. A little over an hour later, Guan arrived at Heavenly Phoenix Mountain, a towering mountain range that stretched over tens of thousands of miles. According to the chronicles of the world, in ancient times, a phoenix once descended upon this mountain and gave birth, hence the name Heavenly Phoenix Mountain. Heavenly Phoenix Mountain was occupied by demons. When the author of the Chronicles of the World passed by this place, he was attacked by a great demon comparable to the Unification Realm. Perhaps the spiritual energy in Heavenly Phoenix Mountain wasn't the most abundant, but it was not a place that couldn't be visited. Guan used his divine sense to cover the entire Heavenly Phoenix Mountain, and sensed 3 Unification Realm great demons. The number of demons exceeded 1,000,000, and the number of unrefined demon creatures and demons was countless. This mountain alone had so many demon creatures. No wonder it would form a tribulation of demons. Guan landed in a forest halfway up the mountain. He sat beneath a tree and directly activated the lifespan barrier. Following his gaze, the sparse forest with the demon mist billowing looked like waves under the night wind, eerie and terrifying. After watching for a while, Guan withdrew his gaze, and then pulled up the attribute panel. Looking at his 2.38 million year lifespan, Guan felt a pang of heartache. This breakthrough, who knows how many times he would fail? It was estimated that it would cost him several years of effort. But he had no choice. Staying alive was the most important thing. First, let's use 100,000 years to calm the nerves. With a thought, Guan invested his lifespan into his cultivation level. You have invested 100,000 years of lifespan to evolve cultivation. You have cultivated in chi absorption for 4,000 years. You used your great accomplishment in primordial earth immortal skill to forcefully impact the nirvana realm, and began the tribulation crossing. You did not withstand the innate 5 elements divine thunder tribulation, and failed to pass the tribulation. You have cultivated in chi absorption for 8,000 years. You used your great accomplishment in primordial earth immortal skill to forcefully impact the nirvana realm, and began the tribulation crossing. You did not withstand the innate 5 elements divine thunder tribulation, and failed to pass the tribulation. Good grief! 4,000 years for each tribulation crossing? No wonder the nirvana realm was the first major obstacle of the immortal path 9 tribulations. As the notifications came quickly, Guan's expression did not change. 100,000 years of lifespan went to waste. Let's do another 100,000 years. The evolution cultivation began again. Guan raised his eyebrows slightly. All failed. Try another 100,000 years. Guan refused to give up. As he started the third 100,000 years, his expression gradually turned sour. All failed. Guan's face darkened as he invested the fourth 100,000 years. The continuous failure notifications irritated his mind. Fortunately, this time it succeeded. Seeing the success notification, the gloom in his heart was swept away, and a smile appeared on his face. You have cultivated in chi absorption for 74,000 years. You used your great accomplishment in primordial earth immortal skill to forcefully impact the nirvana realm, and began the tribulation crossing. You withstood the innate 5 elements divine thunder tribulation and succeeded, breaking through to the first layer of the nirvana realm. You have cultivated in chi absorption for 77,000 years. Your cultivation level rose to the second layer of the nirvana realm. You have cultivated in chi absorption for 80,000 years. Your cultivation level rose to the third layer of the nirvana realm. You have cultivated in chi absorption for 83,000 years. Your cultivation level rose to the fourth layer of the nirvana realm. You have cultivated in chi absorption for 98,000 years. Your cultivation level rose to the 8th layer of the nirvana realm. Nirvana realm 8th layer. From the 7th layer to the 8th layer of the nirvana realm, it took 5,000 years of lifespan. Guan immediately invested another 4,000 years of lifespan, successfully reaching the 9th layer of the nirvana realm. There was no other way. Now Guan was used to not seeing any numbers other than 9 in minor realms. After reaching the 9th layer of the Nirvana realm, he could once again accumulate his lifespan in peace. Boom! The earth spirit energy surged into Guan's body, shattering his robes instantly. He raised an eyebrow and continued to endure the violent spiritual energy body refining. Unlike previous breakthroughs, this time Guan felt pain. Nirvana was a transformation of the body and soul, so a little pain was understandable. At the same time, a flood of memories about the Nirvana realm surged into his mind. As Guan began to devour nature's spiritual energy, the spiritual energy of the entire heavenly Phoenix Mountain started to sink. This phenomenon was so intense and sudden that all the demons were startled. Gales howled, ravaging heavenly Phoenix Mountain. Roars and cries echoed throughout the world, deafening and terrifying. North Sea Mountain, deep into the night. In the forest, a dozen Supreme Sect disciples sat around a campfire. Zhenqin turned her head to look at Sage Xian Miao, who was meditating under a nearby tree. She thought for a moment and then walked over. "Senior, do we really not need to set up a formation?" Zhenqin asked cautiously. They were all disciples of the Law Enforcement Hall. While carrying out a mission on the Taicang Dynasty border, they were attacked by demon cultivators from the Ephemera sect. They were all trapped in a magic artifact and brought to the North Sea Mountain. Fortunately, Sage Xian Miao saved them. Otherwise, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Sage Xian Miao, with his eyes closed, calmly replied, "No need. If any Ephemera sect demon cultivators come, I will kill them." After the underworld fox demons incident, he harbored an immense hatred for the Ephemera sect. He believed that the underworld fox demon came from the Ephemera sect. Otherwise, why would it have taken the Ephemera poison and informed him of the Ephemera sect's imminent attack? It was clearly scheming against him. Zhenqin hesitated but held back. Wasn't he using them as bait? Though she was puzzled, she chose to remain silent. With their foundation establishment realm cultivation levels, it was difficult to survive in the North Sea Mountains. They needed Sage Xian Miao's protection. Sage Xian Miao was not from the Supreme Sect, and had no obligation to protect them. At this time, she could not afford to offend him. Zhenqin returned to her previous meditation spot to continue cultivating. The other law enforcement hall disciples began whispering among themselves, discussing the Ephemera sect. With the world in chaos, the Ephemera sect's troubles this time far exceeded the past. These disciples of the law enforcement hall felt the pressure, fearing they might perish in this catastrophe. "Do not worry. This area is under the protection of the mountain god. Once I recover from my injuries, I will send you back to the Taicang Dynasty." Sage Xian Miao's voice echoed, drawing the attention of all the disciples. A male disciple curiously asked, "Mountain god? What mountain god?" Sage Xian Miao replied, "Naturally, the mountain immortal. As for its location, I will not tell you." The disciples looked at each other, thinking Sage Xian Miao was acting strange. Had he injured his head? Even Zhenqin thought Sage Xian Miao had a problem with his mind. For a moment, the forest fell into silence. Heavenly Phoenix Mountain. The forest shook like turbulent waves, the ground lightly trembled, spiritual mist sank while demon mist rose, creating the illusion of dragon shadows thrashing everywhere, a spectacular sight. Guan, sitting under a tree with his bare body, completed the breakthrough after an ancient hour of settling. Finally, he reached the Nirvana realm. Upon achieving the Nirvana realm, his spiritual power transformed into mana, and his primordial spirit underwent a metamorphosis. Guan's mystic heart was already covered in runes, about to hatch his own unique divine skill. He had an idea to create a divine skill based on his cultivation technique. His absorption of nature's spiritual energy did not slow down, and continued. It would take some time to reach the 9th layer of the Nirvana realm. He opened his eyes, frowning. A demon was flying towards his forest location, currently 100 miles away. If the demon did not change its direction, it would likely intrude on his lifespan barrier. "Hope the heavens bless you. If you intrude, even if you and I have no enmity, you will die." Guan thought silently, then closed his eyes. He disliked unnecessary killing. This included demons, If they birthed spiritual wisdom, randomly slaughtering them felt like accumulating bad karma. However, if any life threatened him, he would not hesitate to be ruthless. Time continued to pass. Another ancient hour went by. Guan's cultivation had reached the 6th layer of the Nirvana realm. The howling winds began to weaken, not because his spirit energy absorption had slowed, but because the spiritual energy of Heavenly Phoenix Mountain was nearly exhausted. Now the lifespan barrier was drawing in spirit energy from more distant regions. A few miles away, on a hillside, a red figure was advancing. The demon mist in the sky dispersed, revealing the bright moon. Under the moonlight, a red-clothed woman moved forward with disheveled hair, barefoot, and staggering as if she might collapse at any moment. Her long hair was a mess, with some strands stuck to her face by blood, only revealing her bright eyes. Her gaze was downcast, looking extremely weak. "I can't fall down. I need to rest in the forest ahead," the red-clothed woman murmured to herself, her vision blurring. She wobbled forward, taking half an hour to cover the few miles. Once she entered the forest, she collapsed into a patch of grass, unable to get up again. She was now less than 100 yards from Guan's lifespan barrier. Chapter 136 The First Step on the Immortal Path. "I am the true immortal of the mortal world." Guan looked up at the woman in red, able to sense the dense demonic energy emanating from her. Generally, demons capable of complete shapeshifting were great demons, but the demonic energy of this one was merely comparable to the 9th layer of the Foundation Establishment realm, which was rather peculiar. He immediately cast a lifespan detection spell. Tian Yaoer, Foundation Establishment realm, 9th layer 17/999/18,000 Her maximal lifespan exceeded that of the underworld demon emperor, breaking the record of demon clan qualifications known to Guan. Aside from the spirit tree, the highest maximal lifespan belonged to the ghost mother of ephemera, reaching 54,000 years, but the ghost mother of ephemera was a ghost and incomparable. Guan couldn't help but sigh, as the human race was truly struggling, with a destiny limit of less than 10,000 years. Of course, the human race's comprehension was higher than that of demon clans and ghost clans. At least, Guan had not seen any demons or ghosts cultivating faster than Li Xiandao. While Guan was lost in thought, he waited for the breakthrough to end. As spiritual power transformed into mana, its intensity underwent a dramatic change to an extent that Guan felt he could easily crush his former self. Perhaps this was the true path of immortality. With the 9 layers of the immortal path, he had already crossed into the 1st layer, and was no longer a mortal spirit. Unfortunately, unlike other cultivators, breaking through did not extend his lifespan, perhaps because of his unusual situation. Having not experienced a real heavenly tribulation, his lifespan could only be seized but not increased through breakthroughs. Nevertheless, this wasn't much of a problem, as his speed in seizing lifespans was already fast enough. Once the lifespan barrier ceased absorbing the spiritual energy of Heavenly Phoenix Mountain, the entire mountain fell into a silent and oppressive state. Guan sensed that the majority of demon creatures were fleeing from Heavenly Phoenix Mountain, as such phenomena signified calamity in their eyes. Time flew by. When Guan's cultivation level reached the 9th layer of the Nirvana realm, he was immersed in a profound sensation. He slowly opened his eyes and examined the consumption of the lifespan barrier. This breakthrough had consumed nearly 50,000 years of lifespan. In total, he had consumed 454,000 years of lifespan to reach the 9th layer of the Nirvana realm. He still had 1,920,000 years of lifespan left, not counting the fractions. Not bad. Guan stood up and took out a black robe. While dressing, he glanced at Tian Yaoer in the distance. Now he could see things invisible to certain living beings. He observed a trace of gray aura on Tian Yaoer, and as his divine sense probed into the gray aura, he saw scenes from Tian Yaoer's past. Was this the legendary karma? Guan began to glimpse into Tian Yaoer's past, so he did not immediately dispel the lifespan barrier. After the breakthrough, the consumption of the lifespan barrier significantly slowed down, and leaving it active a bit longer wouldn't cause much loss. After dressing, Guan dispelled the lifespan barrier and walked towards Tian Yaoer. His insight into karma wasn't very strong, only allowing him to explore the karma of the past decade for Tian Yaoer, unable to deduce the future. Glimpsing the karma of the past decade was already quite impressive. In just a few breaths, the past decade of Tian Yaoer's life unfolded before his eyes. Guan approached Tian Yaoer, bent down to embrace the unconscious Tian Yaoer, and then walked out of the forest. The moonlight bathed them, stretching their shadows far behind. Tian Yaoer had a nightmare, dreaming that she was surrounded by a group of demons who wanted to tear her apart and boil her into soup to offer to the demon mother. She jolted awake, sitting up from the ground, gasping for air. Instinctively glancing around, she found herself in a cave. Her eyes were drawn to the fire, where a figure sat meditating beside it, causing her to shrink back and press against the wall in fear. "You," Tian Yaoer stammered, unsure of what to say, still shaken. Looking closely, she saw the person was dressed in black, wearing a mask, exuding an air of mystery. It was Guan. At that moment, Guan was deeply immersed in the overwhelming power of the Nirvana realm. His divine sense covered vast lands, even allowing him to see the entirety of the 9 Dynasties' territories from Heavenly Phoenix Mountain, a sensation he found utterly fascinating. Was this the realm of immortal path? Guan felt like a true immortal of the mortal world, omnipotent. Tian Yaoer's gaze shifted to a bottle of elixirs on the ground. After a moment of hesitation, she stepped forward carefully, picked up the bottle, and opened it. The fragrance of the elixirs made her eyes light up, and she immediately poured the elixirs into her mouth. After swallowing the elixirs, she felt her energy recover significantly, an indescribable sensation washing over her. She felt refreshed and invigorated. Noticing that the wounds on her body had already scabbed over, she shrank back again, curling up against the cave wall, covering her mud-caked feet with the hem of her dress. After calming down, she realized it was the black-clad individual who saved her. She curiously studied Guan, finding his aura unfamiliar. Since breaking out of her shell, she had not encountered any cultivators of the human race. She had been raised by the demon mother since childhood, and the red dress she wore was also passed down from the demon mother. After a while, Guan withdrew his divine sense and slowly opened his eyes. He turned his head to look, the eyes revealed by the mask meeting Tian Yaoer's, making her pause and then snap back to alertness. "Thank you for saving me, Senior," Tian Yaoer said timidly, like a small kitten. Guan asked, "What are your plans now?" From his earlier glimpses, Guan knew Tian Yaoer was a demon nurtured by a demon king of the unification realm. There were other demons in that cage, all very young, capable of shapeshifting at a young age, indicating their extraordinary qualifications. Due to the sudden depletion of spiritual energy, the demons believed a disaster was imminent and thus migrated. During their migration, they encountered a great demon, resulting in a battle. Amidst the chaos, Tian Yaoer escaped. Subsequently, she fled all the way to Guan. Perhaps due to their shared lack of parents, Guan felt a tinge of sympathy for Tian Yaoer and did not leave immediately. Tian Yaoer hesitated, unsure how to respond, feeling lost. "I'll give you 2 options. 1. I take you out of Heavenly Phoenix Mountain to a distant place for you to survive. 2. You serve me from now on. In return, I will ensure your safety." Guan's voice resonated, and upon hearing it, Tian Yaoer showed signs of internal conflict in her eyes. Tian Yaoer gritted her teeth and asked, "Can you avenge me? My parents were killed by the demon mother. If you can avenge me, I'll follow you forever." "The Heaven Phoenix demon mother is too powerful. I'm not her opponent, but I can teach you cultivation techniques. You can avenge your own parents in the future," Guan replied. The Heaven Phoenix demon mother was in the unification realm, certainly not someone Guan could defeat at present, but he didn't want to reveal his full strength. From Tian Yaoer's memories, there were hints that the Heaven Phoenix demon mother had lived for thousands of years. Killing her would likely only yield a 2-digit lifespan gain. Not worth exposing his cultivation level. Even though Guan intended for Tian Yaoer to manage his new cave mansion, he preferred not to reveal his true power. One must always hold something back. Currently, He was only in the first realm of the immortal path, far from being invincible. What if someone traveled through time in the future to kill him? He wanted to ensure that no one would ever know when he truly became powerful. Tian Yaoer showed a look of disappointment in her eyes, but after reconsidering, it made sense. She had never heard of anyone mightier than the Heaven Phoenix Demon Mother. She cautiously asked, "If I follow you and cultivate, will I have a chance to avenge them?" "You'll at least have a better chance, won't you?" "All right, I'll follow you." Immediately, Guan waved his sleeve, and the vacant ground behind him suddenly collapsed, soon filling with water to form a pool. "Go wash up," Guan said, standing up and heading towards the cave's entrance. Tian Yaoer hurriedly got up and nervously asked, "Where are you going?" "Just to take a look outside. I'll come back after you're done." Guan responded without stopping, merely waving his hand. Tian Yaoer watched his retreating figure, hesitating to say more. For some reason, Guan's attitude made her feel more favorable towards him. Maybe following him would be better than her previous life. Tian Yaoer turned to the pool, gazing into it, wondering in surprise. He seems really powerful. Is he truly no match for the Demon Mother? Elsewhere, Guan stepped out of the cave, sunlight pouring down on him. Standing halfway up the mountain, surrounded by flora, his view was unhindered. Looking out, he saw an array of mountains and rivers, enveloped in dense mist, resembling an immortal realm. It was difficult to associate such a beautiful scene with the demon land. Guan's divine sense spread out, searching for a suitable place to establish his cave mansion. Today he planned to create an underground cave mansion, settling Tian Yaoer before he returned. Fortunately, he had already prepared all kinds of formation materials, enough to set up a concealed cave mansion, which he would continue to refine over time. Soon, he located a spirit lineage, deciding to establish the cave mansion beside it. Leaving behind a yin-yang clone, his true self disappeared into thin air. Half an hour later, Tian Yaoer crouched by the fire, hugging her knees. Firelight illuminated her delicate face as she stared into the flames, lost in thought. When she heard footsteps from the cave's passage, she snapped out of her daze and quickly stood up. Moments later, Guan entered the cave chamber. Seeing the cleaned-up Tian Yaoer, he felt satisfied internally. She looked pleasing enough to manage the cave mansion, serving as an eye-pleaser. With a wave of his sleeve, a breeze blew towards Tian Yaoer, causing her long hair to flutter and her clothes to swell, compelling Guan to avert his gaze. Tian Yaoer felt her hair suddenly fluff up, her clothes drying, and all traces of moisture on her body disappearing. Guan raised his hand, beckoning her into the air, grabbing her shoulder, and the two vanished from the cave. Tian Yaoer felt as if the world was spinning, an uncomfortable sensation preventing her from opening her eyes, with her divine sense unable to extend, prompting her to instinctively grab Guan's belt tightly. Soon, she felt her feet touch the ground, the discomfort dissipating. She opened her eyes, and her eyes widened in disbelief. They had arrived in a vast underground space, similar in size to the Mystic Heaven Cave Mansion, with various spirit stones encrusted on the walls, glowing and imbuing the air with dense spiritual energy, making Tian Yaoer feel at ease. This cave mansion was personally carved out by Guan, appearing as though naturally formed, with an environment that seemed crafted by supernatural forces. From now on, you'll live here. Rest and recover first, don't go outside. This is still Heavenly Phoenix Mountain. If you get bored, you can read these books. Guan produced books like Investiture of the Gods and Supreme Immortal Venerable from his sleeve, and placed them on the ground. With that, he disappeared into thin air. Tian Yaoer crouched down and picked up a copy of Investiture of the Gods, flipping it open, her face full of confusion. She was illiterate. Chapter 137. Is there an immortal in this world? The third Medicine Valley, where the autumn wind swayed gently. Guan walked out of the transmission array platform and headed towards a distant garden area. Although he had just broken through, he hadn't forgotten the ripening times of the flowers and plants in each garden. Before he had taken a few steps, Lu Lingjun quickly approached him and said, Valley Master, let me accompany you in harvesting. Guan nodded, having no objections. After walking several miles forward, Guan began to bend down to pick, while Lu Lingjun took out a bamboo basket, ready to receive. Valley Master, with the world in chaos, should I go out and make a name for myself? Lu Lingjun suddenly asked. So it was about this, no wonder she was suddenly attentive. Guan casually replied. Then go to the sect leader and see how he arranges it for you. If he wanted to summon me, he would have already sent a message to me. If that's the case, then stay in the Medicine Valley. Who knows, one day the demon cultivators of the ephemera sect might infiltrate the valley, and it will still be up to you to protect it. But, Lingjun, you're a great cultivator, yet your Taoist heart is so restless? Isn't protecting the medicinal herbs also a merit? Is this merit any less than killing enemies? Guan said seriously, but his hands did not stop moving. Having just spent more than 400,000 years of his lifespan, he needed to replenish it. Lu Lingjun was helpless. She wanted to go out and eliminate demons also for the sect leader's grand plan. However, she couldn't tell Guan that she wanted to become the sect leader yet, as Guan had a closer relationship with LV Batian. Seeing her plan fail, Lu Lingjun couldn't help but change the topic, asking, Valley Master, do you think there are immortals in this world? If the world is so vast, why can't mortal spirits see them if they exist? Of course there are, otherwise, why would there be us cultivators? We are just on the path of pursuit. Guan answered. Of course there are. I am one. I just can't tell you. Guan felt secretly proud, and at the same time, he thought of a possibility. Could it be that immortals are hiding in the mortal world, and previously his divine sense couldn't detect them? Or perhaps, the immortals are on the other side of the ocean, separated from mortals? Even upon becoming immortals, they still have to strive for higher realms. Nirvana is just the first step on the immortal path. One has to cross 8 tribulations to reach the pinnacle of the immortal path. What lies beyond the immortal path? For a while, Guan was lost in infinite reverie. Although his mind was fluttering, it did not affect his picking of herbs. In the place where I was born, there were no immortals. Cultivators, upon reaching a high realm, could only pursue shattering the void. We believe that immortals are hidden in realms that mortal spirits cannot reach. Lu Lingjun continued, a sad expression appearing on her face. After ascending, she suddenly felt no different from before. Still rolling in the red dust. Only this red dust was more vast, and the immortal path remained distant. Guan listened, occasionally echoing a phrase. An hour later, the two of them returned to the pavilion area and then parted ways. Guan walked towards the mystic pure tree, seeing from afar that Xiaochuan was squatting on the ground, observing the white spirit rat sleeping under the tree. Although Xiaochuan raised quite a few demon beasts, his favorite was the white spirit rat. But the white spirit rat did not like to interact with him. Guan suddenly noticed that Xiaochuan's back seemed to have aged. Xiaochuan was only 3 years younger than Guan, now already 70 years old, and had not yet reached foundation establishment. How could he not show signs of aging? Guan had once given Xiaochuan a youth-preserving pill, but it could only keep his appearance youthful. Xiaochuan's demeanor and mindset had begun to age. This made Guan feel a bit trance-like. 100 years from now, Xiaochuan would leave him. Xiaochuan didn't like to practice, and Guan couldn't force him. Fortunately, even if Xiaochuan couldn't achieve much in immortal cultivation, he still led a happy life. This life was without regrets thanks to Guan. Guan came up behind Xiaochuan and asked with a smile, Xiaochuan, what are you looking at? If you want to hold it, just pick it up. Xiaochuan looked up helplessly saying, it has a bad temper. Last time I tried to hold it, and it scratched me. Oh, why didn't you tell me? The rascal. Guan immediately walked over, grabbed the white spirit rat by the tail, and lifted it up. The white spirit rat awoke, and when it saw that it was Guan, it stopped struggling immediately. Guan placed it into Xiaochuan's arms and warned it with his eyes not to resist. The rat reluctantly curled into a ball. Xiaochuan, now able to hold the white spirit rat, revealed an excited smile and began gently stroking its back. At this moment, Guan sensed battle aura coming from afar. A mystic heart realm battle. One of the auras was Xianquan's. He only glanced at it, having no intention of intervening. As long as the Mahayana realm cultivators of the ephemera sect did not make a move, he was too lazy to step in. This was the calamity of the 9 dynasties, not his alone, and he couldn't let Supreme Sect develop a dependency on Sword Venerable Fudao. After chatting with Xiaochuan for a little while longer, Guan finally left. Xiaochuan put down the white spirit rat, which then quickly ran back to the mystic pure tree to continue sleeping. Xiaochuan turned his head, staring at Guan's back. For some reason he felt increasingly distant from him. Though they were always together, and Guan had no intention of leaving Supreme Sect, he could not help but feel a sense of loss. Fortunately, this sense of loss came and went quickly. "Little Yang, come over here, let's check on the spirit chickens. They should be laying eggs today." Xiaochuan called to a servant disciple not far away. The thought of the spirit chickens laying eggs brought a smile to his face. Heavenly Phoenix Mountain. In an underground space, Guan sat on the ground with a steel placed before him, stroking his chin in deep thought. Tian Yaoer squatted nearby, curiously watching him. Unable to hold back, she asked, "What are you thinking about?" Guan answered, "I'm thinking of giving this cave a name." He suddenly thought of something, looked at Tian Yaoer and said, "If I let you name it, what would you call it?" She tilted her head, thought for a while, and said, "How about Heavenly Phoenix's little nest?" Guan closed his eyes again, not bothering to respond. Tian Yaoer pouted, raised her hands like claws, and made a playful scratching motion towards Guan, sticking her tongue out as if she wanted to scratch him. After another 30 minutes, Guan stood up, startling Tian Yaoer, who quickly followed suit, her eyes wide as she watched him. Guan raised his right hand, extended 2 fingers, and pointed at the steel, moving his fingers through the air. Tian Yaoer looked down and saw a faint strength energy fall on the steel, carving 4 characters. Nianchu Cave. Nianchu, meaning to remember one's initial aspiration. Guan feared he might become arrogant in the future. Today's conversation with Xiaochuan made him feel many emotions about life. Nianchu also represented his hope to remember the first group of people he met when he embarked on the immortal path. After carving, Guan picked up the steel and walked towards a distant place. Tian Yaoer followed closely, never leaving more than 7 steps away from Guan since his return. After setting the steel in place, Guan turned and began casting his magic, then squatted down and placed his hands on the ground. In fact, he didn't need to go through such trouble, but he wanted to show off in front of Tian Yaoer. With his mana flowing into the soil, the barren ground began to sprout weeds, covering the entire area of Nianchu Cave in no more than 3 breaths, leaving Tian Yaoer wide-eyed. This was Guan's mystic heart divine power, which he called All Things Divine Presence. All Things Divine Presence wasn't limited to this ability. He could use mana to conjure flowers, grass, and trees within the range of his divine sense. The conjured plants contained his mana, providing him with vision. The uses were endless, and the summoning speed was incredibly fast, suitable for use as a lethal attack. With a wave of his hand, Guan could easily summon a 10,000-foot wall of trees. He wasn't sure of the ultimate limits of this power yet. Just thinking about it excited him. Additionally, this divine power could also accelerate the growth of plants. Today, Guan wanted to conduct an experiment to see if speeding up the growth process of medicinal herbs affected their lifespan. He took out a seed and buried it in the soil. Tian Yaoer, already bewildered, watched the green spread across the ground, doubting Guan's claim, as she had never seen the demon mother use such methods. Half an hour later, Guan looked at the fresh second-tier spirit grass in his hand and sighed. Forcing growth indeed diminished the lifespan. By hastening the second-tier spirit grass to maturity within half an hour, the lifespan was lost. According to his lifespan detection, this second-tier spirit grass was approaching its end, but the detection couldn't show the number of months left, making it hard for him to judge directly. It seemed he still needed to farm patiently. Guan cursed his greed inwardly. His ability to seize lifespans was already very exaggerated, yet he wanted it faster. He stood up and likewise Tian Yaoer followed, mimicking him. Don't you have anything to do? Guan couldn't help but ask. Tian Yaoer blinked and asked, like what? Aren't you seeking revenge? Shouldn't you be cultivating? How should I cultivate? You haven't taught me the cultivation technique yet. Tian Yaoer answered, feeling wronged. Admittedly, her grievances were rather endearing. Guan cursed inwardly and then asked, how did you improve your cultivation level? He had seen Tian Yaoer's past, but only for 10 years. Since her early years, she had been kept by the Heaven Phoenix Demon Mother, occasionally fed various elixirs and medicinal broths. He had thought she had been given the technique of immortal cultivation during her childhood. I don't know, it just happened, Tian Yaoer replied. Guan thought for a moment, realizing this might be a good thing, preventing her from abandoning her cultivation to start anew. Subsequently, Guan began teaching the primordial earth immortal skill to Tian Yaoer. She truly didn't understand cultivation at all, requiring Guan to explain some basic cultivation principles. After a night, Tian Yaoer finally learned to absorb energy by herself, allowing Guan to breathe a sigh of relief. During the process, he realized Tian Yaoer was completely illiterate. He glanced at the scattered books in the distance, pondering whether to keep a copy of the Supreme Secret Record since it contained illustrations. But then he dismissed the idea. Too disgraceful. He couldn't let an ignorant demoness see such books. If Tian Yaoer developed bad thoughts later, it would affect his cultivation here. It was all Shenzhen's fault, making Gu An's thoughts increasingly impure. Some books deserve to be banned for a reason. Chapter 138. The Mountain God Descends. Punishment. The autumn wind was desolate. In the mountains and forests, Zhen Qin and others followed Sage Xianmiao forward. Sage Xianmiao walked at the front, leaving a trail of blood behind him, which made everyone behind him worry greatly. They knew that comforting him was futile. They could only try their best not to disturb him. Boom! A deafening explosion came from afar. The fierce wind roared, toppling trees. Everyone hurriedly mobilized their spiritual power to resist the gusts. Sage Xianmiao raised his sword to block. His cultivation level in the divinity transformation realm withstood most of the pressure. He couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood, which made the disciples of the Supreme Sect's law enforcement hall behind him sweat for him. After a few breaths, the wind stopped, and Sage Xianmiao followed suit, half kneeling, stabilizing himself by leaning on his sword. The surrounding forest was almost entirely toppled, with leaves and debris flying around messily. Zhen Qin and the others rushed forward, concerned about Sage Xianmiao's safety. Ever since Sage Xianmiao had saved them, they had been fighting almost every day, which left his injuries no chance to recover, only worsening them further. Sage Xianmiao lifted his head, his pale face full of unwillingness. He gritted his teeth and said, "The enemy is coming. Everyone meditate." Upon hearing this, everyone hurriedly sat down. After spending several days together, they had developed unconditional trust in Sage Xianmiao. Without him, they would have been dead long ago. Sage Xianmiao took a deep breath and said softly, "Call upon the mountain god in your hearts. Pray for the mountain god to save us." He had no other way. His spiritual power was insufficient to cast the divine-reaching mystic gate. He could only think of the mountain god. Although this place was far from the mountain god's domain, he believed the mountain god would be able to sense it. Everyone was astonished upon hearing him. Some disciples even panicked. Not fleeing now, calling for the mountain god? Indeed, the world is in chaos, battles everywhere. Maybe we can escape amid the chaos. Next, we'll take turns carrying you. We will surely escape alive. We can't just sit and wait to die. Is there really a mountain god in this world? If there was, why would the ephemera sect run rampant? The more the disciples spoke, the more agitated they became. They could also feel a powerful aura approaching. Sage Xianmiao said, "We can't escape. They have already locked onto us. Sit quickly, do as I say, and there's still a chance. If we delay and they capture us, we will neither live nor die." Upon hearing this, the disciples could only grit their teeth and sit down. Zhen Qin sat among the crowd, closed her eyes, and began calling out to the mountain god in her heart. She did not want to die here. For a moment, everyone sat on the ground, calling the mountain god's name in their hearts. In the inner Sect city, Guan was selecting seeds of high-rank medical herbs in the elixir hall when he suddenly sensed something. His expression turned strange. Mysteriously, it seemed someone was calling him. This feeling was very mysterious. It had never happened before. He extended his divine sense, encompassing the lands of the 9 dynasties, and soon locked onto Sage Xianmiao. It was Sage Xianmiao who was calling him. Although others around Sage Xianmiao were also meditating, Guan could clearly sense it was only Sage Xianmiao calling him. He couldn't hear Sage Xianmiao's thoughts but could feel his strong desire to see him. Could it be because of his mountain god identity? Guan was curious. He suspected it was related to the Nirvana realm. He had known Sage Xianmiao for some time, and never had this feeling before breaking through. Guan noticed Zhenqin's presence, as a group of ephemera sect cultivators was approaching them. After hesitating for a moment, Guan put down the seeds in his hand and turned to walk towards the door. In the mountains of the North Sea, among the fallen trees, Sage Xianmiao, Zhenqin, and others sat in meditation, their eyes tightly closed, as if they were ready to die. A group of black-robed cultivators flew in from the horizon, led by an elder holding a wooden staff. He had a head full of white hair, a face covered in brown spots, and a large python coiled on his shoulders, making him look malevolent and terrifying. He looked down at Sage Xianmiao and said, "Sage Xianmiao, are you surrendering?" He hadn't attacked immediately. According to the information, Sage Xianmiao possessed a divine skill capable of summoning great cultivators. Many of Ephemera Sect's great cultivators had died by this skill. Sage Xianmiao ignored him, continuing to chant silently in his heart. The elder with the wooden staff scanned the others, his gaze flickering with hesitation. The disciples of the law enforcement hall were extremely tense, most of them sweating on their foreheads. They didn't dare to open their eyes and could only frantically call the mountain god in their hearts, or pray for a miracle. After a while, the elder with the wooden staff snorted coldly. He raised his staff and in an instant, demonic chi surged from the bottom of the staff, quickly covering the sky for 10 miles around. The disciples of the Supreme Sect's law enforcement hall sensed something and opened their eyes. In their view, it was as if they had suddenly been plunged into night, with the Ephemera Sect cultivators in the air looking like deathly ghosts, staring down at them. Everyone was extremely tense, their faces filled with despair and fear, including Zhenqin. Sage Xianmiao also opened his eyes, sighed and looked towards the sky, his gaze becoming calm. Disappointed. A voice entered Sage Xianmiao's ear, making him instinctively turn his head. Immediately he widened his eyes, full of surprise and joy. Mountain God. Others turned their heads when they heard those words. When their eyes fell on Sage Xianmiao's shoulder, they all widened their eyes. On Sage Xianmiao's left shoulder stood a small man in white, wearing an opera mask, whose head was not even as high as Sage Xianmiao's ear. Some disciples thought they were hallucinating, some even rubbed their eyes. The elder with the wooden staff frowned deeply, also seeing the small man in white. The other Ephemera Sect cultivators started murmuring. It was their first time seeing such a small person. When they used their divine sense to probe, they couldn't see the small man's true form, and felt no aura of evil from him. Guan leaped from Sage Xianmiao's shoulder and landed on a nearby crooked tree. Sage Xianmiao hurriedly bowed to Guan, saying, "Please, Mountain God, save us. The Ephemera Sect has committed numerous atrocities and even plans to sacrifice the people of the 9 dynasties. This is an abomination. Please save the world's common people." The disciples of the law enforcement hall came to their senses, and all turned to kneel before Guan. Zhenqin also knelt, feeling a strange sense of kinship towards the small man in white. "Mountain God? Posing as a deity. I advise you not to meddle." The elder with the wooden staff glared at Guan, coldly threatening him. Guan ignored the threat of this unification realm great cultivator. He turned to Sage Xianmiao leisurely saying, "The mountain god does not save the common people, only guards a single land. You are not of this land, yet you ask me to save you. It is against the celestial rules." Sage Xianmiao quickly replied, "If you help, we will offer you our worship." Sincerity is effective. Guan turned to the elder with the wooden staff, too lazy for further words. He raised his right hand, palm facing up. As he raised his hand, the earth trembled violently, astounding everyone. Boom, boom, boom. Huge tree roots broke through the ground, rushing toward the sky like a horde of serpents, forcing the elder with the wooden staff to dodge. Other ephemera sect cultivators couldn't evade in time, and were pierced by tree roots, their bodies shattered, blood spraying through the air. The demonic chi in the sky dissipated instantly, sunlight pouring down. Upon seeing the spectacle ahead, Zhenqin and the rest were all stupefied. Even Sage Xianmiao was moved. One by one, giant trees shot up to the sky. Looking to both ends, one couldn't see the end, as if a green mountain suddenly rose, piercing the clouds, shocking everyone's eyes. The elder with the wooden staff quickly dodged, wielding his wooden staff and casting imposing spells. Demonic chi surged, shaking the heavens. But in less than 3 breaths, he was entangled by thick vines. He was shocked to find his spiritual power suppressed within, unable to be released. How could this be? Could it really be the mountain god? The elder with the wooden staff widened his eyes in despair, and soon, his face was covered by vines, and eventually, his figure vanished within the intertwined branches, merging with the trees. From above, the land within a 100-mile radius was dense with giant trees intertwining, forming a mountain of trees that stunned every witness. Sage Xianmiao stared at the tree mountain. Even with his eyesight, he couldn't determine the height of these trees. Lines of prompts began to appear before Guan's eyes. A small harvest. All these people combined barely account for 5,000 years of lifespan. Guan withdrew his hand, causing the terrifying and magnificent tree mountain to dissolve, transforming into countless green light stars that quickly disappeared. The huge chasm like an abyss in front showed that the previous scene was real. The disciples of the law enforcement hall looked at Guan again with eyes filled with reverence and incredulity. Such a small figure yet capable of godlike feats, truly the mountain god. Even stronger than the legend. Guan looked at Sage Xianmiao, stroked his chin and pondered. I told you not to reveal my existence. I must punish you. Sage Xianmiao took a square wooden box from his storage bag and said, I am willing to be punished. This treasure is a token of gratitude for the mountain god's help. Guan raised his hand, moving the wooden box in front of him, then putting it into his storage bag. He had many storage bags and specifically used another to avoid Zhenqin's notice. He leaped, flying to Sage Xianmiao, gently tapped his forehead, and said, The punishment is a 1-year drop in your cultivation level. In a flash, Sage Xianmiao's face changed as his cultivation level quickly dropped, falling all the way to the foundation establishment realm. It was Guan's divine skill, the path of returning primordial spirit. This skill, awakened by the primordial reincarnation skill, could seal someone's cultivation. Zhenqin and the others sensed Sage Xianmiao's rapid drop in cultivation, and were all shocked. When Guan looked at them, they took out their treasures to offer him, promising not to reveal the mountain god's existence to anyone. Guan waved his sleeve, collecting all their offerings, then another wave of his sleeve sent a breeze sweeping them towards the horizon, including Sage Xianmiao. Mortals and immortals are separate. If you break your promise, even if you hide to the ends of the earth, I will find you. Guan's voice echoed in the ears of every law enforcement hall disciple. Chapter 139. Immortal Path Techniques. The eve of the final battle, Guan manipulated the breeze formed by his mana to gently deliver Sage Xianmiao, Zhenqin, and the others to the border of the Taicang dynasty, before withdrawing his thoughts and then disappearing from the spot. This time, he mainly acted for Zhenqin. However, the feeling of taking action was quite nice. It made him truly feel the power of the immortal path. No wonder the Nirvana realm is so special. Without experiencing Nirvana, human cultivators cannot live past 10,000 years. The difference between Nirvana realm and Mahayana realm is not just the strength of spiritual power, but a comprehensive disparity. After returning to the Supreme Sect, Guan continued to procure medicinal herbs in preparation for planting at Nianchu Cave. Before sowing, he had to properly instruct Tianyaoer. Now he already possessed some methods akin to immortals, no longer needing to teach Tian Yao hand by hand. He only needed to point his finger at her forehead to transmit a large amount of information into her mind. However, to conceal his strength, he decided to teach slowly. Anyway, he had plenty of time. On the other side, beside a large river, the disciples of the law enforcement hall looked at Sage Xianmiao with words stuck in their throats. They could hardly care about the joy of surviving the catastrophe. They were more worried about Sage Xianmiao being distressed. If not for saving them, how could Sage Xianmiao have ended up in such a state? Sage Xianmiao washed his face, stood up, and smiled at everyone, saying, "You don't need to worry about me. My cultivation was merely sealed by the mountain god for a year. Indeed, this was my ordeal due to my failure to keep my promise." The disciples all spoke up, taking the responsibility onto themselves, but Sage Xianmiao merely laughed freely. Having his cultivation suppressed to the foundation establishment realm did not cause him any pain. On the contrary, he felt more exhilarated. Now he was completely convinced that the mountain god was a true immortal. The mountain god's methods made him feel incredulous, and also very excited. The road of immortal cultivation can truly lead to success. Alright everyone, now that we have returned to the Taicang dynasty, it is time to part ways. Remember, do not reveal the existence of the mountain god to anyone. Sage Xianmiao cupped his hands as he spoke. All the disciples hastily returned the salute and promised not to reveal it. Considering that even someone as strong as Sage Xianmiao had his cultivation sealed, how could they dare to provoke the mountain god? They shared the same feeling as Sage Xianmiao, one of excitement, for they had seen unprecedented hope. The path to immortality is vast. Whether there are immortals has always been a persistent debate in the immortal cultivation world. Having witnessed immortals, they would be more steadfast than others. Autumn passed, winter arrived, and snow gradually covered the Mystic Valley. Zhenqin came back to visit him, telling him about the chaos outside. There are just too many people in the ephemera sect. Even with the combined forces of 9 dynasties, they can't kill them all. Zhenqin sighed. She was only a foundation establishment realm cultivator, and the situation she could see was limited. Guan often witnessed battles in the Mystic Heart realm. Now, great cultivators in the Mystic Heart realm were stationed all over the world. The number of Mystic Heart realm cultivators in the 9 dynasties had already exceeded 20, and was still increasing. The same was true for the ephemera sect. The Mystic Heart realm was in a stalemate, causing the wars below to be deadlocked. This would be a protracted war lasting for years. Guan was not in a hurry. He was just waiting for that Mahayana realm cultivator to show up, and the moment he did, he would kill him. His divine sense could cover the entire 9 dynasties, but the main lineage of the ephemera sect was inside the 9 Nether Road, so he hadn't detected the Mahayana realm cultivator's whereabouts yet. He did not plan to go into the 9 Nether Road to capture him. He wanted to wait until the other party revealed himself, so that news of his death could spread. At that time, the ephemera sect, leaderless, could only disperse. After Zhenqin finished speaking, Guan poured her a cup of tea and asked with a smile, "Why do you seem so excited? Compared to before you left, your spirit state is completely different." Zhenqin laughed and said, "Although there is killing everywhere outside, after this experience, I found greater motivation for cultivation. Master, I plan to go into seclusion next. Our batch of disciples has completed our mission, and the law enforcement hall allows us to rest next." Guan took out a few bottles of elixirs from his storage bag, handed them to her, and said, "Cultivate well. In the future, Master will rely on you." Zhenqin did not reject them. While accepting the elixirs, she laughed and said, "When I become an immortal, I will concoct an elixir of immortality for Master." Her spirited look made Guan want to laugh. Since the departure of Su Han and Yi Yen, Zhenqin often came to Mystic Valley, still treating it as her home. Guan never felt annoyed. He was always happy to see her. After Zhenqin left Mystic Valley, Guan began wandering inside, admiring his cultivation results. Time continued to pass. Although the immortal cultivation world was in chaos, the Supreme Sect was not attacked, and Guan's days in the sect were still leisurely. After the end of the year came the new year. That year's spring festival was not as lively as in previous years. Guan could only celebrate with the servant disciples. Until late at night, he quietly came to Nianchu Cave. He appeared on the grass, feeling the spiritual energy inside the cave. With a satisfied expression, he noted that the spirit gathering array he set up began to take effect. At that moment, Tianyaoer came over excitedly and asked, "Master, did you bring meat?" Since Guan grilled meat for her last month, she completely fell in love with barbecue. Each time he came, she would ask if he brought meat. Nianchu Cave had no entrance, so Tianyaoer couldn't get out. She could only cultivate and wait. "I brought it, but first we need to plant. Based on your performance, I will decide how much meat you get to eat," Guan replied, making Tianyaoer roll her eyes. Then Guan began planting with Tianyaoer, teaching her by example. After teaching once, Guan watched Tianyaoer plant, which took half the night. Guan found that Tianyaoer had a knack for planting. She might look daft, but she was meticulous and skillful. After the planting, Guan took out a leg of lamb and various special seasonings, making Tianyaoer's eyes light up as she eagerly fetched firewood. 30 minutes later, Tianyaoer squatted on the ground, gnawing on a grease-dripping leg of lamb while staring at another leg roasting on the fire. "They're all yours, eat slowly." Guan couldn't help but laugh. Why did he feel like he was raising a cat? Actually, Tianyaoer was not a cat demon but a bird demon. Judging from her lifespan, Guan suspected she had the phoenix blood lineage. Tianyaoer chewed the meat and asked in a muffled voice, "Master, why did you come to Heavenly Phoenix Mountain?" Although they had been together for months, she still knew nothing about Guan seeing him in a good mood today. She gathered the courage to ask, "Heavenly Phoenix Mountain is vast and rich in resources. I came specifically for medicinal herbs. What we're planting now is what I gathered in Heavenly Phoenix Mountain." "Master, do you know alchemy?" "Of course. The demon mother's subordinate has a demon skilled in alchemy, who enjoys her favor. Can you teach me alchemy in the future?" "It depends on your performance." "Master, where do you come from?" In the quiet cave, the conversation between the person and the demon echoed, and the firelight projected their shadows on the cave walls, constantly flickering. Tianyaoer looked at Guan, feeling unprecedentedly relaxed. Though still trapped in the cave, she felt at ease with Guan and no longer fearful. In the days that followed, Tianyaoer memorized all the cultivation details, making Guan no longer need to come to Nianchu Cave every night. In Guan's absence, Tianyaoer diligently cultivated, fearing his disappointment and abandonment. Therefore, she never slacked off since she started cultivating. In the blink of an eye, half a year passed. 74-year-old Guan's lifespan had reached over 2 million years, and everything was moving in a favorable direction. On this day, Guan came to the outer gate city to submit the previous year's harvest from Mystic Valley. After leaving the Elixir Hall, he overheard disciples discussing major events in the immortal cultivation world. It was said that the Ephemera sect had set up a huge altar in Wanji Forest of the Taicang Dynasty, preparing to sacrifice living people. Now in all dynasties, people were disappearing, and various sects from the other 8 dynasties were heading towards the Taicang Dynasty. Everyone sensed a major battle approaching. Through divine sense, Guan saw that altar. It was indeed large, occupying 100 miles in radius. At the altar's center stood a great cauldron with a large flag inside, filled with countless vengeful souls. Around the altar, there were as many as 40 great cultivators of the mystic heart realm stationed. It seemed that the Ephemera sect was making a last-ditch effort. This also indicated that the Mahayana realm cultivator would soon appear. Guan retracted his divine sense and walked towards Wuju's residence. Though Wuju had become an inner sect disciple, he hadn't sold his villa in the outer gate city, only that he wouldn't usually stay there. He felt Wuju's presence, indicating that Wuju was waiting for him. Upon arriving at the courtyard, Wuju, who was practicing martial arts, looked at Guan entering the courtyard and smiled, saying, "You finally came. I thought I wouldn't see you before I left." Wuju's lifespan hadn't increased, but his cultivation had reached the first layer of the core formation realm. After closing the door, Guan turned to Wuju and asked with a smile, "Why are you waiting for me?" Master plans to take me to the Taicang dynasty to eradicate the ephemera demon path. Taicang is far from Taicang, and once we leave, who knows how long it'll take to return, so I wanted to bid you farewell. Wuju stopped practicing and replied. He pretended to be calm, but Guan could see his inner tension and fear. To be honest, Wuju hadn't experienced a life-or-death battle yet, and he feared the ephemera sect because his master was slain by them. A talent like you should have no trouble staying behind, right? Guan asked. Wuju shook his head and said, the ephemera sect is powerful. The supreme sect must bring its full strength to eradicate the demons, and I have personal reasons that I must go. His eyes were firm. He wanted to avenge his master. Though he didn't know which demon cultivator of the ephemera sect killed his master, it didn't matter to him. As long as the ephemera sect was annihilated, he considered it revenge. Then you must be careful. The demon path's methods are countless and unscrupulous. You can't just judge strength by cultivation level. Guan began to advise. Listening to his lengthy speech, Wuju did not find it tedious at all. Instead, he smiled. With such a brother, he had to go. If the ephemera sect's sacrifice succeeded, the demon cultivators would eventually invade the supreme sect, endangering Guan. Subsequently, Wuju began to talk about the scale of the supreme sect's expedition this time. The sect leader dispatched 1/3 of the inner sect disciples to Wanji Forest, illustrating the importance attached to this mission. None after saying goodbye to Wuju, in the following days, Guan could see many Supreme Sect disciples flying over the Third Medicine Valley and Mystic Valley. The Supreme Sect had started going to war. Guan stood on the balcony looking into the distance. He could see the Wanji Forest erupting into battle, with the sects that had arrived first launching an offensive against the ephemera sect. Unfortunately, 40 Mystic Heart Realm great cultivators joined forces, becoming nearly invincible. Ultimately, the various dynasty cultivators returned defeated, waiting to gather more strength. Guan then looked towards the dustless wasteland, reoccupied by the ephemera sect. Continuous streams of ephemera sect cultivators flew out from the entrance of the Nine Nether Road, all heading toward the Taicang dynasty. The 9 dynasties comprised of Taicang, Great Yu, Qintang, Tianwei, Taicang, Hanlu, Great Zhao, Great Jiang, and Wuzhen. The Taicang dynasty was relatively weak, situated at the center of the 9 dynasties with a vast territory, now occupied by the ephemera sect. From a macro perspective, Guan saw that around the Taicang dynasty, cultivators were continuously heading to provide support, a very spectacular sight. As Guan watched, he couldn't help but feel his blood boil, wanting to join in the excitement. However, he needed to guard his Medicine Valley, as that was the most important task. Moreover, if he acted prematurely, that Mahayana cultivator might not show up. The opponent had been silent until now, making Guan believe they were definitely preparing something. The gigantic sacrificial platform in the Wanji Forest looked like a target to Guan. He suspected that the ephemera sect would sneak attack the Supreme Sect. Not only did he have this suspicion, but the Supreme Sect also showed caution, with a Mystic Heart Realm great cultivator currently guarding the sect, and it wasn't Ancestor Xian Quan. A month later, the number of patrols in the cities of the Supreme Sect increased, with a tense atmosphere permeating the sect, even affecting the servant disciples in the Third Medicine Valley and Mystic Valley. As the chief disciple of Mystic Valley, Lu Jujia began arranging disciples to take turns guarding the mountain tops around the Medicine Valley, to prevent any demon cultivators from the ephemera sect from approaching. The Third Medicine Valley was similarly vigilant, with deacons taking turns patrolling with their disciples. On this morning in the Third Medicine Valley, after morning exercises ended, Guan was walking towards his pavilion when he seemed to sense something, his expression changing slightly though he did not stop walking. Boom! A thunderous roar suddenly echoed across the sky, startling everyone in the valley, making them turn and look. From the direction of the inner sect, rolling thunderclouds appeared, sweeping towards the Third Medicine Valley, seemingly ready to cover the entire sky. What was that sound just now? Could it be an attack from the ephemera sect? But isn't the ephemera sect in the Taicang dynasty? Since our supreme sect ranks among the top of the 9 dynasties sects, if we were destroyed, the morale of the 9 dynasties would certainly plummet. I hope it doesn't involve our Medicine Valley. Disciples gathered and began discussing. Guan also stopped in his tracks, standing by a wooden fence at the edge of a garden, looking into the distance, observing the battle in the sect's main city. The sect's main city was the largest city of the Supreme Sect. Inner sect disciples could enter the city but could not reside there. Only the high-ranking individuals of the Supreme Sect lived there. At this moment, 2 Unification Realm great cultivators were fighting in the sect's main city. As their battle progressed, more cultivators joined in, eventually forming a large-scale melee. It wasn't an attack from the Ephemera sect, but rather spies from the Ephemera sect starting to act. After watching for a while, Guan realized that the troublemakers seemed to come from the same family. Lu Lingjun approached Guan and said, "Valley Master, from now on, do not leave the Medicine Valley." She also looked towards the sect's main city, eyes filled with gravitas. She had sensed the presences of at least 5 Unification Realm cultivators. Just Unification Realm cultivators weren't enough to unsettle her. She had a premonition that something extremely dreadful was about to happen. Guan nodded lightly, then continued to watch the battle. The 3rd Medicine Valley quickly darkened, as if night had fallen. Rumble. A deep thunderous sound echoed across the sky, making it seem as if an ancient ferocious beast was roaring in the sea of clouds, creating a deafening noise. "It is time for you to show yourself. Our battle will determine the fate of the Supreme Sect." A cold, indifferent voice echoed throughout the entire Supreme Sect, making everyone who heard it feel a heavy pressure on their chest, very uncomfortable. Lu Lingjun's face changed slightly. She could confirm that the owner of this voice had a cultivation level beyond the Unification Realm. Guan saw someone walking among the clouds. That person wore a black robe, had a purple crown on their head, and 18 golden short swords floating behind them. As they walked forward with sleeves fluttering in the wind, they stirred up waves of energy, giving an imposing aura reminiscent of a dragon's presence. 5th layer of Mystic Heart Realm. This person was likely among the upper echelons of the Ephemera sect, with a cultivation level 3 layers higher than any Mystic Heart Realm great cultivator in the Supreme Sect. Meanwhile, in the inner sect city, inside the book collection hall, Elder Sulu stood in front of the counter, watching a figure walking down the stairs from afar. He couldn't help but ask, "How confident are you?" Following his gaze, an old man with an immortal demeanor dressed in black robes came walking down the stairs, holding a horsetail whisk, his expression calm. He didn't stop, continuing down the stairs, leaving only one sentence, "I will do my best." Sulu turned to look out the window. The rolling thunderclouds looked like a black ocean, stirring up huge waves, oppressive and horrifying. Worry appeared in his eyes. "Today is the first time since reaching Mystic Heart that I combat another Mystic Heart realm. May I know your name?" The old man's voice echoed throughout the entire Supreme Sect, bringing the restless cities to silence. Mystic Heart Realm? Lu Lingjun was also hearing this realm name for the first time. Above unification is Mystic Heart? Lu Lingjun's divine sense captured the figure in the clouds, her eyes filled with longing. She must reach this realm. No. She would surpass the Mystic Heart realm. "I am Venerable Qi Qian of the Ephemera sect. Dying by my hand would not be in vain for one who has reached Mystic Heart." The earlier voice rang out again, with an arrogant tone that made the Supreme Sect cultivators worry for Ancestor Kusong. Boom! A tremendous pressure descended, covering the entire Supreme Sect. The thunderclouds in the sky churned violently, and almost all the cities lit up with protective light screens, using formations to resist the pressure from the battle in the sky. Venerable Qi Qian and Ancestor Kusong were already engaged in combat. The two fought fiercely high in the sky, not affecting the ground below, but their pressure was so immense that even the mountains between heaven and earth trembled. Lu Lingjun stared intently at the sky, not wanting to miss any details of the battle between the two Mystic Heart Realm great cultivators. Guan couldn't help glancing at her. She wouldn't gain path enlightenment from this, would she? After a while, Lu Lingjun was still deeply absorbed, while Guan turned and walked towards the valley entrance. The ephemera sect had not only sent Venerable Qi Qian, but also an even more powerful presence. That person had already reached the entrance of the third medicine valley. From a distance, Guan saw a woman in white walking towards the valley entrance, wearing a bamboo hat, looking very mysterious. Her hands were placed in front of her lower abdomen, white as snow, with a dignified demeanor, as if she were a fairy descended to the mortal world. It was hard to associate her with the demon cultivators of the ephemera sect. Fairy by Xia, 9th layer of Mystic Heart Realm 2180/4900/6500 9th layer of Mystic Heart Realm. This truly was an attempt to flatten the supreme sect in one fell swoop. Guan sighed inwardly and walked quickly. Soon he stood before Fairy by Xia, cupping his hands in salute. The ephemera sect is causing chaos. May I ask what brings you here, senior? Fairy by Xia's bamboo hat was draped with a veil, her red lips faintly visible, likely painted with thick lipstick. This witch was very cautious, using some secret technique to make her cultivation appear at the first layer of the core formation realm. Little brother, the spiritual energy in this medicine valley is so abundant. Your identity must not be simple. Tell me, who are you? Fairy by Xia's voice was melodious, captivating. Guan raised his hand and grabbed her wrist, saying, I am just an ordinary outer disciple of the supreme sect. Fairy by Xia laughed, her laughter filled with chill. She did not struggle against Guan's grip, and used sound transmission skill. It's said that sword Venerable Fu Dao is only active within 1,000 miles. Little brother, if you have information about sword Venerable Fu Dao, I can spare your life. Guan had anticipated her using sound transmission skill, so he chose to listen to her finish. Guan's expression turned serious. It seems you are indeed a demon cultivator. In an instant, Fairy by Xia felt a domineering and unparalleled force invade her body. Her face, hidden under the veil, turned pale with fear. She tried to shake off Guan's hand but found she couldn't. Her wide, beautiful eyes were filled with disbelief. More terrifying was that she couldn't speak or let her primordial spirit emerge. She had never experienced such a horrifying feeling. Her cultivation realm rapidly dropped, her primordial spirit being pressed deep into her soul. Her cultivation fell to the first layer of the core formation realm, matching her outward appearance. Impossible. Fairy by Xia was nearly in despair. The opponent's might and the drop in her cultivation left her utterly irrational. In her desperate gaze, Guan took out a pearl. The 1,000 shadow pearl given to him by LV Baitian. With his left hand still holding Fairy by Xia's wrist, Guan pressed the 1,000 shadow pearl onto her abdomen with his right hand. Demon cultivator. Take this. Guan shouted, and with a loud boom, the 1,000 shadow pearl burst into dazzling light. Spears of strength energy exploded, turning Fairy by Xia into a bloody corpse, covering Guan in blood. The 1,000 shadow pearl couldn't kill a mystic heart realm cultivator. Before using the pearl, Guan had forced her soul to scatter with mana, causing instant death. His shout attracted the attention of many servant disciples. Lu Lingjun suddenly appeared in front of Guan, seeing him covered in blood. She frowned and asked, Are you all right? Why didn't you call me just now? Guan pretended to be terrified. I thought it was an inner sect disciple. It turned out she was a demon cultivator from the ephemera sect. Quickly destroy the body to avoid future trouble from the ephemera sect. He was trembling as he held the 1,000 shadow pearl. Killing Fairy by Xia granted him an additional 495 years of lifespan, not bad. Lu Lingjun, looking at the terrified Guan, immediately cast a spell to burn Fairy by Xia's body with spiritual fire. The residual mana in Bai Xia's body aided the burning, quickly reducing the body to ashes. Lu Lingjun couldn't detect the Nirvana realm's mana. These were vastly different powers. But she could confirm that the opponent indeed had the cultivation of the first layer of the core formation realm. Watching the ashes, Guan sighed with relief, muttering, It's a pity she didn't have a storage bag or storage ring. Lu Lingjun retorted, You don't seem too scared considering you look so timid. You are a golden list genius, and an initial core formation realm demon cultivator scared you like this. She began to reflect on the insights she gained from witnessing the battle earlier. She seemed to have grasped something. The mystic heart realm was indeed fascinating. The gap between the 9th layer of unification realm and the mystic heart realm was unimaginable. She suddenly felt that only by achieving the mystic heart realm, one can be considered a truly powerful cultivator. Chapter 141. Sword cultivators must always be calm. Looking at Lu Lingjun falling into silence once again, Guan could feel that she had grasped the opportunity for a breakthrough. It was obvious that Lu Lingjun had been stuck at the 9th layer of the unification realm for a long time, and her spiritual power was no longer able to grow. Guan pulled her into the valley and said, "Tell me, what is the mystic heart realm exactly like? It seems so powerful." Mystic heart. Mystic heart. Could it be that there is something special about the heart in this realm? Lu Lingjun's expression changed upon hearing this. Her heart was undergoing slight changes, with a thread of special power surging inside. This thread of special power was, of course, Guan's mana. However, he used it so skillfully, and the gap between their realms was so vast, that Lu Lingjun couldn't detect it was his power. Instead, she thought she was about to undergo a transformation. This thread of mana circled inside Lu Lingjun's heart, and then returned to Guan's body, giving Lu Lingjun a fleeting sense of loss. At this time, other disciples in the valley gathered around, asking about the background of the female demon cultivator from earlier. Covered in blood, Guan gave a few brief answers before going back to the pavilion to wash himself. Lu Lingjun returned to the wooden fence, looked up at the thunderclouds, and continued to watch the battle. For the 3rd Medicine Valley, Fairy by Xia was just a small episode. Even the servant disciples didn't pay much attention, not realizing that the deceased female demon cultivator's cultivation level surpassed all others in the 9 dynasties. Apart from Guan, she had the highest cultivation. Taicang Dynasty, Wanji Forest. Flags stood along the edges of the forest, enclosing a 100-mile radius area. Trenches carved out the ground, forming a labyrinth of rune paths when seen from above. This was the Ephemera sect's foundational formation, the 6-path Mahayana array. At the center of the formation, 7 black-robed figures sat in a circle, all meditating. They were all in the mystic heart realm, and above the 5th layer of the mystic heart realm, making them the top 7 among the Ephemera sect's 100 esteemed elders. One of the elderly women opened her eyes and said, "There are signs of a mystic heart realm battle in the direction of the Supreme Sect. It seems Vice Sect Hierarch and Venerable Qi Qian have started their actions. I wonder if Sword Venerable Fudao will make a move." Upon hearing this, the other 6 people opened their eyes. The Supreme Sect is in grave danger. Sword Venerable Fudao will definitely make a move. They say Sword Venerable Fudao's cultivation is at least at the 8th floor of the mystic heart realm. I wonder if it's true. No matter what, with the Vice Sect Hierarch making a move, the Supreme Sect can only rely on Sword Venerable Fudao. We indeed underestimated the sects of this land. Though it appears barren and backward, it can call upon so many mystic heart realm cultivators. Having stood for thousands of years, eventually someone will reach the mystic heart realm. The Ephemera sect's top 7 converse casually, speaking as if the fate of the Supreme Sect was already sealed. At the same time, thousands of miles away, amidst the mountains, the cultivators of the Supreme Sect were stationed. Disciples were monitoring each mountain peak within 1,000 miles around. In a temporary hall within the main camp, LV Baitian, Ancestor Xian Quan, and dozens of high-ranking members of the Supreme Sect gathered. And Hao and Wu Ju were also present. And Hao stood next to LV Baitian, while Wu Ju stood behind Zhou Yu from the Venerable Pavilion. LV Baitian sat there in a domineering manner, looking less like a righteous path sect leader, and more like a demon lord. With a sullen face he asked, "What does this mean? Does the Tsangtian sect want to be the alliance hierarch?" Ji Chun from the Ji family said helplessly, "Indeed, the number of sects from the 9 dynasties has exceeded 40, and doing things recklessly would rather entangle us. Therefore, the Tsangtian sect proposed to elect an alliance hierarch, And since they have dispatched 1,000,000 disciples and 4 Mystic Heart Realms Supreme Elders, they believe they should lead. For Mystic Heart Realms, truly terrifying. It should be known that before the Ephemera Sect's disaster, the Unification Realm was the highest realm in the 9 dynasties. Little did anyone expect that when the 9 dynasties' catastrophe arrived, the Taicang sect could summon 4 Mystic Heart Realm Supreme Elders. Not every supporting sect sent Mystic Heart Realms. This was the dispatch array for battle. The Taicang sect no doubt had other Mystic Heart Realm great cultivators stationed, just like the Supreme sect. The Supreme sect could only send 1 Mystic Heart Realm Supreme Elder. Compared in strength, the Supreme sect really couldn't be compared to the Taicang sect. Ji Chen's words cast a silence over the hall. Many elders wanted to rebut, but had no rebuttal. The Ji family, Zhou family and Gu family were the 3 major families of the Taicang dynasty. But in the 9 dynasties, they might not even be in the top 3. LV Batian took a deep breath, staring hard at Ji Chen asking, "Where is your Ji family's ancestor? When will they arrive?" Ji Chen replied, "They should arrive within these few days, but only one could be found." Just like sects, the Mystic Heart Realm cultivators within aristocratic families rarely stayed within the family, often traveling the world in search of higher fortunes. LV Batian looked at Zhou Yu. Zhou Yu immediately said, "The elders of our family are preoccupied, but the patriarch is trying their best to persuade them. We should be able to secure 1 Mystic Heart Realm within a month." LV Batian frowned, feeling quite displeased, as one of the 4 Taicang sect's Mystic Heart Realms bore the Zhou name. He then shifted his gaze to Gu Gua from the Venerable Pavilion. Gu Gua, calm and composed, said, "I can't say for sure. The elders of my clan have quirky temperaments. We can't be certain how many will come, but we will definitely contribute. Our Gu family has always been duty-bound to the 9 dynasties." LV Batian chuckled, watching this scene, and Hao was secretly amazed. It was his first encounter with the influence of the 3 major families. As strong as the sect leader was, even he had to speak politely. LV Batian was overbearing in nature, but showed restraint depending on who he was dealing with. Against the Chu family he could suppress the whole clan, but against the 3 major families he had to be courteous. Below the Mystic Heart Realm, LV Batian was unparalleled. But due to the Ephemera sect, it was now the era of the Mystic Heart Realm. "When I become the sect leader, all families must heed my command." And Hao swore to himself. In his mind, LV Batian's troubles stemmed from not being strong enough. As long as he was strong enough, he wouldn't fear the whims of any force. Wu Ju didn't ponder so deeply, being aligned with the Zhou family. He found this meeting noisy. Without eliminating the Ephemera sect sooner, the Supreme sect's danger only increased. At this moment, an elder hurried into the hall, holding a jade scroll, and quickly said, "The sect is under attack by the Ephemera sect's Mystic Heart Realm." This statement caused an uproar, and Hao frowned, thinking of his sister and Exine. Wu Ju clenched his fist, thinking of Gu, and LV Batian asked, "How many Mystic Heart Realms?" 1. "So far, that's the information." "Then it's fine. Even if Ancestor Kusong is not a match, there's still Sword Venerable Fudao." LV Batian smiled, his words easing the tense atmosphere. A female elder couldn't help but mutter, "Will Sword Venerable Fudao really make a move?" Although Sword Venerable Fudao had helped the Supreme Sect several times, his mysterious identity still left many unsure if he indeed belonged to the Supreme Sect. Especially when the sect's safety was at stake. The Supreme Sect. Under the rolling thunderclouds, Venerable Qiqian and Ancestor Kusong were still in fierce combat. Each wielded their magic artifacts, constantly casting spells, creating massive shockwaves that caused the thunderclouds to roil violently. At this moment, Venerable Qiqian was filled with confusion. Why hasn't the Vice Sect Hierarch made a move yet? Although his cultivation was higher than Ancestor Kusong's, both being in the Mystic Heart Realm, it was difficult to eliminate Ancestor Kusong. He also had to guard against Sword Venerable Fudao's intervention. As time passed, his confidence gradually gave way to worry. "What are you waiting for?" Ancestor Kusong waved his horsetail whisk, boundless spiritual power condensing into thousands of green beams, attacking Venerable Qi Qian along different trajectories, spanning miles, forcing Venerable Qi Qian to dodge. This first battle of the mystic heart realm was strenuous for Ancestor Kusong, but he could see that the opponent was wary of others, making it hard for him to focus on the battle. Ancestor Kusong thought of the mysterious sword Venerable Fu Dao. Venerable Qi Qian didn't respond. He suddenly shifted direction, heading towards an outer gate city. Ancestor Kusong followed closely behind. On the other side, in the third medicine valley, Guan changed into a fresh robe, and then went downstairs to join Lu Lingjun. Lu Lingjun had once again entered a state of path enlightenment. Her right hand rested on the wooden railing, and seeing this, Guan also placed his hand on the railing. Even though he was in the Nirvana realm, Guan couldn't change the fate of others. But for someone like Lu Lingjun, who already had one foot in the mystic heart realm, he could lend a hand, helping her break through sooner. Guided by his mana, Lu Lingjun's spiritual power flowed into her heart, causing nature's spiritual energy to pour silently into her body. At this moment, Guan sensed something, looked up, and frowned, a flash of displeasure in his eyes. Venerable Qi Qian was approaching the third medicine valley, more precisely the outer gate city. Where is sword Venerable Fu Dao? If you don't act soon, your comrades will die in your sect. Venerable Qi Qian's voice echoed, filled with murderous intent, reaching the ears of the million disciples of the Supreme Sect. At the edge of the heavenly repair platform, Yi Lan and a group of law enforcement hall disciples guarded a corner. She looked up, seeing the roiling thunderclouds, feeling a heavy pressure. She could sense Venerable Qi Qian approaching, and the oppressive aura grew stronger. She clenched the white spirit sword in her hand. Thousands of cultivators were on the heavenly repair platform, but only a few remained calm and meditative. Mad swordsman Han Ming had long since returned to the dynasty. Zhuo Lin stood beside his father, Zhuo Yijian nervously asking, "Father, are we not leaving yet?" Zhuo Yijian held the investiture of the gods, calmly saying, "Where can we go?" "But, trust sword Venerable Fu Dao." Listening to his father's words, Zhuo Lin wanted to curse. You trust the investiture of the gods? He really wanted to tear apart the investiture of the gods in Zhuo Yijian's hands. Far in the third medicine valley, Guan had already used divine sense to cover the outer gate city, locking onto someone. "It's decided, it will be you." Zhuo Yijian seemed to sense Zhuo Lin's anger. He turned to the next page saying, "Son, when faced with matters, don't rush. A sword cultivator must always be composed." At that moment, the treasure sword placed beside him began to tremble violently, catching his attention. A vast sword intent leaked from the sword, causing Zhuo Yijian to be moved. "This is..." Zhuo Yijian trembled with excitement, forgetting the words he wanted to say to his son. "You're tuning into the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure."